Chapter 43-23. When Tang Guo woke up, she felt weak all over and had no strength at all. It was very difficult for her to even stand up. She checked her pulse and found that she had been drugged. Not only did it make her weak, it also had an aphrodisiac effect. It seemed that she was not in a good situation. She felt even more uneasy when she saw that she was wearing ancient clothing that was slightly revealing. Tongzi, find me some medicine. The system quickly found the medicine for Tang Guo based on her symptoms. After taking the medicine, the weakness in her body disappeared instantly. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and looked at her surroundings. Dear host, this is Immortal Academy. What's Immortal Academy? Tang Guo did not understand and asked casually. A brothel. Tang Guo paused and replied, Oh. Dear host, someone is coming. The system informed her. Hearing this, Tang Guo lay back on the bed and pretended to be weak. In her mind, she was already planning what to do. It was not a good sign to appear in a brothel. Judging from the fact that she had been drugged, because she was a girl from an innocent family, she had either been sold or tricked. Beside her bed, 3 people came over. She pretended to be weak and opened her eyes. There was an appropriate amount of fear in her eyes. From now on, you are a girl of Immortal Academy. If you are obedient and receive guests, Immortal Academy will treat you well. If you are disobedient and try to escape, you can try to find out what will happen to you. Lu Yu's face was ferocious. She did not have the motherly look that she had when she was with Meng Shirin. Apart from her own daughter, in her eyes, these young girls who ended up in Immortal Beauty Academy were only goods, tools used to please the officials and nobles, helping her earn money. Tang Guo did not say anything. She did not understand the situation. Based on her current situation, the other party would not be rough with her. Moreover, she had dressed her up so nicely. It was most likely that a guest had booked her. Therefore, she only needed to wait for the procuress to leave and regain her memory. Then, she would know what to do. Lu Yu was satisfied when she saw that Tang Guo did not intend to struggle. Wasn't it good for a girl in distress to have a place to stay? They could even eat and drink delicious food. Even if she didn't bring the girl in, other brothels would have the same thoughts when they saw such a symbol. Either way, the result would be the same. She might as well have stayed in Immortal Beauty Academy. If you're obedient, I won't mistreat you. Perhaps it was because Lu Yu remembered that she didn't know how she would explain things to official Lu if she didn't have this symbol, but she felt a bit more pity for Tang Guo. With your looks, you should be my beautiful Immortal Academy's top courtesan. Once today's matter is over, I won't let you casually receive guests. Tang Guo only felt that these words were extremely ridiculous. She didn't receive customers casually, but she still had to receive customers. It was nothing more than using the identity of the top courtesan to raise her value so that she could sell at a higher price. She would not have any good feelings for such people who ate human flesh. What was even more ridiculous was that the procuress actually had a string of Buddhist beads in her hand. It was extremely ironic. From Lu Yu's words, Tang Guo could glean some information. She had indeed been booked by someone. There were still a few hours before the time, and it was still very bright outside. Most likely, it would be nighttime. Therefore, when Lu Yu left, she should still have a few hours before it would be safer for her to receive the memories of this world. The Peak. Chapter 43-24. The female lead of this world was called Meng Shirin. The Meng family had been doing business for generations, so she could be considered the daughter of a wealthy merchant. However, in ancient times, the status of merchants was relatively low. Meng Shirin's father came to the capital to do business, hoping to befriend some powerful people and raise his status. In addition, he might be able to find a good marriage for his daughter. Meng Shirin went out to play and was coincidentally seen by Lu Yu-er. At that time, Lu Yu-er was helping Lord Lu find a young girl. This Lord Lu was closely related to the existence of Immortal Beauty Academy, so Lu Yu had no choice but to make arrangements. She arranged for people to kidnap Meng Shirin and bring her back. With Lord Lu behind her, an investigation revealed that Meng Shirin was only the daughter of a merchant. She was not afraid of anything. Of course, Meng Shirin was unwilling. She wanted to escape, but was caught and ruthlessly beaten. Lu Yu-er, the procuress, even personally tortured Meng Shirin. Just as Lu Yu-er pried open Meng Shirin's mouth, she suddenly froze. In fact, there was a small mole in Meng Shirin's lips. Ordinary people would not notice it at all. It was a very special place. Lu Yu had once given birth to a daughter. In order to prevent her daughter from stepping on this road of no return, she sent her daughter to a family. For this reason, she searched for a birthmark on her daughter's body, hoping that it could be used as evidence in the future. A small mole would definitely not work because she knew that some moles would fall off after growing, or new moles would appear. It had to be a birthmark that could not fall off. In the end, she found a small mole in the child's lips. Unable to find the birthmark, she could only remember this special mole in her heart that ordinary people would not be able to find. After recognizing her daughter, Lu Yu hurriedly asked people to investigate and found out Meng Shirin's name. She also remembered that the family she had sent her daughter to was surnamed Meng. However, she did not expect that place to be the Meng family's villa. Lu Yu-er was very happy to find her daughter, but she did not dare to meet her daughter again. Especially tonight, when Lord Lu was coming. She had sent someone to say that she had already found a suitable candidate. If she did not let her daughter serve Lord Lu, she would be finished. But if she let her daughter go, then she really wouldn't be able to live. She didn't allow her daughter to have a pure identity. How could she lose it because of this? While Lu Yu-er was in a panic, the original owner fled to the capital. Although her body was dirty, Lu Yu-er knew that she was a beauty when she saw her face. She quickly caught her and brought her back. After washing, she was indeed a beauty. Moreover, he found that the original owner had a precious jade pendant, which was worn by the other party. She immediately had an idea. She snatched the jade pendant away and gave it to her daughter, Meng Shirin. Meng Shirin really didn't know about this, and she was very glad that she could escape. The original host, who had been left behind in the beautiful Immortal Academy, was presented to the beautiful Immortal Academy's backer, official Lu, by the Madame Lu Yu-er. Even though she had lost her innocence, she still wanted to break free from this place, so she naturally couldn't avoid Lu Yu-er's torment. Even her fingers had been pierced by long needles. In the end, she had no choice but to accept her fate and stay in Immortal Beauty Academy. On the other hand, Meng Shirin, who was wearing the jade pendant, had a fortuitous encounter along the way. First, she met the person she liked. Then, they went through all kinds of obstacles together. When they were in danger, the jade pendant saved her life. Vertex. Chapter 43-25. It turned out that the jade pendant belonged to the royal family. Meng Shirin was recognized as the daughter of the royal princess who had been lost many years ago, so she had the identity of a princess. The news of her being recognized by the royal family with the help of the jade pendant spread in the capital. At this time, the host was already the top courtesan of the beautiful Immortal Academy. She inadvertently glanced at the jade pendant and knew that she was supposed to be a golden flower. Unfortunately, she was too young when she lost it, so many memories were blurred. She inadvertently overheard Lu Yu-er's words and learned that Meng Shirin was Lu Yu-er's daughter. Everything was set up by Lu Yu-er. The hatred in her heart reached the peak. The host, who was already the top courtesan, used her advantages to successfully approach the royal family and finally obtain the identity of the royal family. But as soon as she appeared, she gave people a feeling of jealousy. She was unscrupulous and was born in a brothel. In fact, she was not welcomed by the royal family. Of course, there were people who welcomed her and even felt sorry for her. Unfortunately, this person could not help her at all and was killed in the end. Meng Shireen, whose identity was exposed, finally claimed that she did not know at all because of the help of her admirers. Everything was just a misunderstanding. In addition, she was especially liked by the emperor and empress, so she was acquitted in the end. Furthermore, he could finally be together with the person he loved, and not be together as cousins. He couldn't be happier. The host felt that she should not have encountered all this. She risked her life to do many things. Unfortunately, the royal family could not tolerate her. A mere princess was not that important to the royal family. In the end, to prevent her from being a demon and harming people, the emperor ordered her to be married off. She went to a strange and cold place, which could not erase the hatred in her heart. Instead, she instigated the foreign king to start a war. Unfortunately, the foreign country was too small and was destroyed in the end. After that, she lived a wandering life. Meng Shireen's admirers helped her a lot. Meng Shireen was with the person she liked. In the end, she became the mother of the country and bought a beautiful villa for her biological mother, Lu Yu, to retire. Tang Guo paid more attention to the person who pitted Meng Shireen, a fake princess who was wandering outside, and helped her a lot. Later, when she found out that she had been deceived, the only person who stood beside the host could not help but roll her eyes. This person turned out to be Empress Dowager Qin, who had a strange disease and could not move. In the plot, Empress Dowager Qin's illness never recovered. The previous host and Empress Dowager Qin weren't related by blood. The previous host was the daughter of eldest Princess Yunjin, and eldest Princess Yunjin was the emperor's biological sister. She was also the daughter of the deceased Empress Dowager Su. The reason why she took care of Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter was because Empress Dowager Qin and Empress Dowager Su had a good relationship. It should be said that the two of them were life and death friends. When she first admitted her mistake, Empress Dowager Qin really tried her best to help Meng Shireen. She even gave some of her power to Meng Shireen. However, she didn't know that this was actually part of the Empress plan. The Empress had long known that Meng Shireen was not the real princess, but an impostor. But she knew that Empress Dowager Qin would definitely love this lost commandery princess. She felt like watching Empress Dowager Qin's love for the wrong person until the end. It could be said that Empress Dowager Qin was angered to death by these people. Later, when the Real Princess came back, Empress Dowager Qin was the only one who loved her. The previous host also remembered her well and never forgot her. As for the fact that Empress Dowager Qin was poisoned by a zombie worm, it was only found out after the original host was married off to a bitter cold place. It was a pity that her letter was not sent to Empress Dowager Qin, and it sped up her death. The Empress was afraid that she would be finished if Empress Dowager Qin stood up again, so she found a chance to kill her. The most ridiculous thing was that Meng Shireen thought that Empress Dowager Qin changed her attitude too quickly. The kind old lady disappeared and changed her mind. She didn't like her anymore. Therefore, she complained about Empress Dowager Qin's attitude and never visited her again. Under the instigation of the Empress, she already thought that Empress Dowager Qin was a bad person. She helped the Empress to remove all of Empress Dowager Qin's power. The top. Chapter 43-26. It didn't take long for her to receive all the plots. Since there was still time, Tang Guo planned to check the group to see what was going on with Empress Dowager Qin. In a few months, Meng Shireen would meet Empress Dowager Qin, who would be her backer for a while. She wanted to share this good news with Empress Dowager Qin. System, this is too much. As expected of its host. Campus bell, is Empress Dowager Qin here? Margaret, Empress Dowager Qin isn't here right now, but Margaret's heart is already cold. Margaret, don't talk to me. Let me cry in the corner for a while. Margaret, I felt that something was wrong before, and it's just as I expected. Margaret, oh, I knew it. Something terrible must have happened when Empress Dowager Qin's time suddenly accelerated. Margaret, sometimes I think that if I wasn't so smart, I would definitely be very happy. Margaret, since the God of creation is against me, why did he make me so smart? Margaret, I'm leaving. You guys continue. Ziyun, I suddenly feel that Margaret is a little pitiful. Mo Yuntian, aren't her apprentices the pitiful ones? She'll definitely send them to the forest to train again. Qi Xiao, and those unknown protagonists. If Margaret meets them, they'll be finished. Margaret's thoughts are getting more and more perverted. Chapter 18 Empress Dowager Qin, Campus Bell, you're looking for me. Campus Bell, if there are no other accidents, I should be in your world. How about this, I'll tell you the plot of this world first. Empress Dowager Qin suddenly had a bad feeling. Based on her time in the group, she could understand that the world the Campus Bell went to and the role she occupied often had a lot of grievances. Like the people in the group, if the Campus Bell went to their world, they would mostly be cannon fodder. So, if she didn't meet the Campus Bell and her friends, she would be cannon fodder in the end. Would the Empress do something to her in advance? Empress Dowager Qin thought a lot, but she couldn't guess the truth. After listening to Tangua's plot, she was stunned for a long time. Someone had mixed up the royal bloodline and pretended to be a princess. The point was that the princess was Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter. What was even more frightening was that she had even helped to take care of the fake Infanta and had even told the fake Infanta about the last of her forces. However, she did not know that the real Infanta was still suffering outside. She shouldn't have been the one to suffer. This bitterness was actually caused by that fake princess's mother. What made Empress Dowager Qin even more incredulous was that after the real Infanta came back, she was despised by everyone. They thought that she was evil and that her actions could not be understood. That fake Infanta was the real, kind, and beautiful person. Empress Dowager Qin felt like her outlook on life had been refreshed. In the royal palace, when could truth, kindness, and beauty offset the crime of confusing the royal bloodline and deceiving the ruler? The real princess had suffered so much because of the fake princess. It was only right for her to do something to seek revenge. She even wanted the fake princess's family to die. But what was the ending that the school bell had told her? In the end, the real princess was sent by the emperor, who was her uncle, to a bitter and cold place for political marriage. The admirers of the fake princess were the instigators. Not only that, they also wanted to make her life miserable in that bitter and cold place. Vertex. Chapter 43-27. The fake princess would become the mother of the nation. Her mother, who had harmed the real princess, would be able to retire to a beautiful place with verdant hills and clear waters. She, the immobile Empress Dowager, was suffocated to death by the Empress with a pillow. She felt so aggrieved. She felt that she was the most aggrieved person in the group. She wanted to kill all the people involved when she heard the story. She was so angry. Margaret, that sounds so infuriating. Margaret, if the school bell were to come to my side, I could still accept the fact that I would encounter such a plot. I will get my revenge when I am sober. Empress Dowager Qin, Campus Bell, where are you now? Are you in danger? Right now, Empress Dowager Qin wished she could jump up and slap those people a few times to wake them up. And the Empress. She thought the Empress just hated her. It was normal for her to be defeated in the palace. She didn't expect that the Empress would protect the fake princess in order to make her angry. Without the Empress's protection, it would not be easy for the fake princess to get away with it. Empress Dowager Qin felt bad when she thought of how she had been defeated by the fake princess. That fake princess actually thought that she had changed. How laughable. She had no children and treated Empress Dowager Su's children as her own. If it weren't for Empress Dowager Su's blood, she wouldn't care about the so-called princesses and princesses. There were too many princesses and princesses in the palace. Some of them might be the children of her enemies. At most, she would ask them to come back and give them a decent identity. She wouldn't do her best to help them. She was not Empress Dowager Su's granddaughter. Wasn't it normal that she didn't like her? Campus bell, when I came here, things had just started. The jade pendant had been snatched by Lu Yu of the Beauty's Academy and given to Meng Shireen. Empress Dowager Qin, then isn't the campus bell in danger? I have people who can help me. The Empress is less monitoring me now. Although I can't use the chicken blood to kill the zombie worms openly, my people can still get close. Tang Guo understood that Empress Dowager Qin wanted to arrange people to help her. Campus bell, don't worry about me. I'll deal with it myself. You take care of yourself first. We'll meet again when there's a chance. Now that you know the truth, you should know what to do if you meet Meng Shireen again. Empress Dowager Qin, of course. My patience has almost reached its limit over the years. Fortunately, I met you guys. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any hope of making a comeback in this lifetime. Now it seemed that the Emperor was also a muddle-headed person who had been fooled by the Empress. Margaret, I keep hearing you mention the Empress. Empress Dowager Qin, what's the grudge between you and the Empress? Empress Dowager Qin, actually it's not a life and death grudge. Before the draft, the Empress and I were on the same level in the capital. To put it bluntly, they were evenly matched, and no one could suppress the other. However, the other party was unwilling to give up and always wanted to suppress me. Not only did he fail every time, he also gave others a feeling of being calculative, which put him at a disadvantage. Empress Dowager Qin, then by accident, I became the previous emperor's concubine and lived with Empress Dowager Su. At that time, Empress Dowager Su was also a normal concubine. She was quite generous and got along well with me. Empress Dowager Su, who had a son and a daughter, was no longer that obsessed with being in royal favor. Vertex. Chapter 43-28. Empress Dowager Qin, but there are fights in the palace. Even if you don't fight, you have to fight. Not to mention Empress Dowager Su, who has a son and a daughter. Empress Dowager Su and I went through many crises together. Actually, her body wasn't very good at that time. The Empress should have been chosen with me, but she was sick that year, so it was delayed until 3 years later. In order to survive in the palace, I worked hard to climb up. I just wanted to have a peaceful life, at least I wouldn't have my food taken away by the palace people. In just 3 years, I did succeed and had a certain status in the palace. At that time, the Empress was chosen again and was given to Empress Dowager Su's son, who was the Emperor's wife. Maybe because of me, the Emperor was biased against the Empress at first, so she held a grudge. I don't know why the previous Emperor gave me the title of Empress before he passed away. Actually, I guessed that it was the previous Emperor's idea. He didn't want the Emperor's family to be too powerful. Like this, after the Emperor ascended the throne, there were 2 Empresses. We got along well, but Empress Dowager Su's body wasn't good and she passed away in a few years. The Empress put a zombie bug in me. The school bell knew about it the best, she couldn't find it at all. Once it got into my body, there was no way to get rid of it. Margaret, so it was like this. The Empress didn't want to be suppressed by you, so she made a move on you. Empress Dowager Qin, something like that. Empress Dowager Qin then asked Tanghua if she was going to stay in the brothel. In her heart, Tanghua's ability is no different from that of a god. She even felt that maybe the gods knew about the grievances here and came to solve it personally. Empress Dowager Qin thought about it, but she didn't say it out loud. Study every day. School bell, I'll stay here for now. When the time is right, I'll come find you. Empress Dowager Qin, quickly solve your body's problem when you have the chance. Do you want me to get a few paper puppets to help you? Since Tanghua said this, Empress Dowager Qin would definitely agree. She couldn't wait to stand up. She didn't show it on the surface, but at least she had to stand up to do things more conveniently. Tanghua left the group and after she came out, she made 2 paper puppets. They left the window and went straight to the palace to find Empress Dowager Qin. There was still a long time before night fell. She was still thinking about what to do next. She'd better stay in the brothel. She didn't care about her reputation. If she left the brothel, she couldn't ask the emperor to order to behead Lu Yu openly. She just wanted Meng Shirin to personally see her biological mother's head being chopped off. In the plot, Meng Shirin already knew that she wasn't a real princess, so she wasn't as pure and kind as those people said. She was just an ordinary person. Was a person's. She did not want to alarm Lu Yu for the time being. She would let her be proud for a while. When Lord Lu came tonight, she would control his mind and indirectly torture Lu Yu. At night, the door to Tanghua's room was pushed open. Teet want s. Teet teet. Tsins were. Tsinteet, seeing this, Tanghua had other thoughts. However, without prior preparation, there was no way to use that method tonight. Chapter 43-29. Lord Lu, are you satisfied? Lu Yu smiled flatteringly. Look at this face, this figure, you can't find many in the capital. I spend a lot of effort to find such a beautiful person. Not bad. Then I won't disturb Lord Lu's mood. I'll go out first. Lord Lu waved his hand and said impatiently, go. After the door closed, Lord Lu walked up to Tanghua. Tanghua's strong spiritual power instantly hypnotized him. Lord Lu stood there in a daze, looking like a fool. Tanghua stood up and rolled up her sleeves. She went up and slapped Lord Lu several times. The slaps were so loud that even the system was shocked. After more than 10 slaps, Tanghua felt a little tired. She stared into Lord Lu's eyes. Hit yourself. With that, Lord Lu began to slap himself. Hit the main point. Lord Lu was like an obedient child. He followed Tanghua's instructions. Soon, his face was swollen like a pig's head. His face was full of finger marks and blood. Tanghua had a lot of medicine in her hands. It could quickly heal Lord Lu's injuries. She was not afraid of being exposed. She had already thought about it. In the future, whenever Lord Lu came, she would hypnotize him and make him slap himself. She was a little excited at the thought. If it wasn't for Lord Lu, she would have forgotten that she had strong spiritual power. If she wanted to hypnotize ordinary people, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? For the entire night, Lord Lu slapped himself. Tanghua sat on the side and slowly sipped her tea. The next day, Lord Lu's face was unrecognizable. Tanghua took out a medicine bottle and handed it to Lord Lu. Apply the medicine. When the medicine powder was applied to his face, the previous scars gradually disappeared. However, that was only on the surface. In reality, Lord Lu could still feel the pain on his face. In the future, you will tell others that you like to drink tea and play chess with me. You think it's an elegant thing. Your face hurts. That's because you accidentally hit the door. From this day on, you won't be able to do it in that area. You can't touch any girl. If you do, you'll feel pain all over. The only exception is Lu Yu, the procuress of the Immortal Academy. After receiving another order from Tanggua, Lord Lu immediately came to his senses. When he saw Tanggua, he said with satisfaction, "Let's call it a day. I'll come and play chess with Miss Gua, another day. Take care, Lord Lu." Tanggua watched official Lu touch his face as he walked out. It was so painful that his face twitched. At that time, an idea popped up in his mind. Immortal Academy's door wasn't good enough. He wanted to tear down the door here. Because Tanggua didn't want to run away, Lu Yu, didn't make things difficult for her. However, after Lord Lu left, she still came over to warn her. When she learned that Lord Lu had only played chess and tasted tea with Tanggua for one night, she still found it hard to believe. Lu Yu also asked what kind of talents Tanggua had, and Tanggua said that she was good at music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Lu Yu didn't feel very good. A girl who knew these things must be from an extraordinary family. Then, she relaxed. Fortunately, her daughter had a good life in the Meng family. She also knew these things, so she wouldn't be exposed. The matter of the jade pendant might not be discovered yet. Lu Yu threw this matter to the back of her mind. Lu Yu began to think about how to make Tanggua help her make money. When Lord Lu left, he didn't ask her to leave this person alone. That way, she could use Tanggua to make money. It was very easy for Tanggua to hypnotize official Lu. The reason why she didn't ask official Lu to make such a decision was that she had a plan. The Peak. Chapter 43:30. Didn't Lu Yu like to use these young girls to make money? In this era, it was fine if they were willing, but she took advantage of her backing to force them into prostitution. She couldn't tolerate this. If she liked money so much, she should earn it herself. System, host, I have a feeling that you're up to something. Tell me, what do you want to do? Nothing much. I just feel that Lu Yu is already an adult. If she wants money, she should earn it herself. Don't you think so? System, so, you're still up to something, right? Lu Yu gave Tanggua a lot of instructions. In any case, she warned her, since you're here, don't think about running away. Everyone knows the rules of beautiful immortal courtyard. Even if you want to run, you won't be able to get out of this courtyard. I won't run. Tanggua pretended to be afraid. Lu Yu was very satisfied. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tanggua poured a cup of tea for Lu Yu. There was only a little something added in the tea. Lu Yu obviously didn't think that Tanggua could do anything. She drank the tea in one gulp, arranged a servant girl for Tanggua, and left. Lu Yu was planning to let Tanggua play the zither in the evening to attract some customers for beautiful immortal courtyard. Of course, she didn't plan to let Tanggua receive other customers in a short time. After all, she was her courtesan queen. As the saying goes, what you can't get is the best. Only by letting those customers do some elegant things like playing chess, playing the zither, and composing poems, would the value of Tanggua, this courtesan queen, be higher. It wasn't that she pitied Tanggua, but she felt that she could earn more money this way. If there was a powerful person who wanted Tanggua to do other things, Lu Yu would be more than happy to give enough money. Lu Yu was completely unaware that when she walked out of the door, the guests outside were already looking at her strangely. Guo also decided to change the feng shui of this brothel when she had time, especially the inside and outside of Lu Yu's room. Night came again. This time, Guo's clothes were more appropriate. This was the new image that Lu Yu had arranged for her, a unique courtesan who only sold her talents. Sure enough, it attracted a lot of people. Guo went up the stage with the guqin in her arms. Her lips curled up under the veil, giving her the guqin. Wasn't that courting death? Sound attacks were her specialty. When the zither started playing, Lu Yu, who was greeting the guests at the side, felt that something was wrong. She kept feeling that her heart was thumping wildly, and her cheeks were slightly red. The guests who were still looking at Guo suddenly noticed Lu Yu's face. They were shocked and stared at her in a daze. The girls in the brothel all felt it. They looked over and also felt that Lu Yu was indeed beautiful today. However, as a brothel keeper, Lu Yu had not received any guests for many years. Lu Yu was just a brothel keeper. If a powerful guest ordered her, she would have to accept even if she didn't want to. Originally, Lu Yu wanted to let Guo attract more guests, but she did not expect that all the guests' eyes were on her. She vaguely felt that something was wrong. In the end, she heard someone say, "Mama Lu is really beautiful today." Mama Lu. At this time, a servant walked in front of Lu Yu. "My master invites you over." Lu Yu could not refuse, so she braced herself and went over. Lu Yu did not come back this time. The next day, when Lu Yu woke up, she felt extremely disgusted. However, things were not over yet. Once night fell, guests took a fancy to her. She could refuse ordinary guests, but she had no choice but to cater to those with power and money. Peak. Chapter 43-31. In just a few days, everyone in the capital knew that Mama Lu's business was the best in Beauteous Courtyard. Now, every night, Guo would sit there and play the guqin, but the guests' eyes would be on Lu Yu. Even if she did not appear, there would still be guests who would come and order her. This made Lu Yu miserable. However, Guo's presence did attract some elegant guests. They really came to listen to the guqin and did not have any other thoughts. Naturally, they were not interested in Lu Yu, the procuress. Lu Yu was very busy every day. There were guests at night and she had to go to some important guests' houses during the day. She did not have time to care about Guo. Guo took the opportunity to change the feng shui of Lu Yu's room. Many things could cause people to hallucinate. Anyway, as long as a man came here, he would not be able to control himself after seeing Lu Yu. Didn't Lu Yu like to force people into prostitution? Wouldn't it be more comfortable to earn money by yourself? Lu Yu was already a middle-aged woman, but she was still so attractive. It caused a sensation in the capital. She had the tendency to become the #1 prostitute, which made the other brothel madams gnash their teeth. That night, Guo saw someone she knew. Meng Shirin's father, Old Master Meng, was looking at Lu Yu with an infatuated expression. Not long after, Old Master Meng called Lu Yu over. When Guo saw this, she smiled very happily. When she smiled, her eyebrows curved, and it made the elegant guests who were listening to the guqin compose a few poems for her on the spot. After playing the guqin, she played chess with these people as a way to make friends. In addition, during the discussion, she found out the identity of these people. Guo's talent was accumulated from many worlds. Every time she said a sentence, it would make people think for a long time. Gradually, she attracted many elegant guests. Even if she was in the brothel, these people could not help but admire her. At first, there were some who looked down on her, but in the end, they were defeated by her 2 sentences of poems and were ashamed. From then on, they came to listen to the Guqin every day. Occasionally, they would show her their poems and ask her for advice. The only way to convince these talented people was to crush them in terms of talent. Tanggua had never thought of attracting this group of people. Now, she suddenly had that thought. A princess in a brothel was not something to be proud of. She really didn't care much about her reputation, but she didn't like people making an issue out of it. If she befriended these scholars and made them admire her talent, then in the future, if someone were to criticize her, she was sure that these scholars would scold that person badly. In just a few short months, the capital's beautiful immortal academy had produced a courtesan belle who was both talented and skilled, and the #1 prostitute, Lu Yu-er, who was a middle-aged woman. Lu Yu-er was very busy now. She secretly complained in her heart, wondering if the feng shui was bad. When official Lu came to beautiful immortal academy, he came to listen to Tanggua play the zither. Then, when the time came, he turned around and looked for Lu Yu-er to discuss life. Lu Yu-er raised her price again and again, but she still couldn't dispel the enthusiasm of these customers. In addition, Empress Dowager Chen's body had recovered. With the help of the 2 paper puppets arranged by Tanggua, she knew everything in the capital and the palace like the back of her hand. Of course, she also knew that Tanggua had caused a stir in beautiful immortal academy. Lu Yu-er became the #1 prostitute. Even if she thought with her toes, she knew that it was because of the school's beauty. In addition, Meng Shirin and the Crown Prince, Tang Wenpan, had met. The Crown Prince was the son of the current Empress. The 2 of them had feelings for each other. But now, the Meng family was in trouble, and the whole family might die. As expected by Tanggua and Empress Dowager Qin, when they were checking Meng Shirin's identity, someone accidentally found the jade pendant on her. Because the other party had seen it before, they hurriedly reported it. Not long after, Princess Yunjin brought Meng Shirin to the princess mansion. The summit. Chapter 43-32. In less than 2 days, the news that eldest Princess Yunjin's lost daughter had been found spread throughout the capital. The matter of how eldest Princess Yunjin recognized her daughter was also discussed by everyone. The small jade pendant that looked like a crescent moon was also talked about enthusiastically. Everyone said that it was all thanks to this jade pendant, otherwise the young princess would have been stranded outside forever. She would have been killed by villains and even lost her life. After Meng Shirin was recognized by eldest Princess Yunjin, the matter of the Meng family being framed by traitors and almost losing their heads was naturally taken seriously, and the matter was quickly investigated. The traitor who framed the Meng family was personally punished by the emperor's decree. Eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter was only a few years old when she was lost, so there weren't many common memories between them. Moreover, it was very normal for a young child to lose her past memories. However, Meng Shirin knew that she wasn't eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter at all. She was different from other children. She already had memories when she was 1 year old. She could clearly remember many things when she was young. Once it was discovered that she was pretending to be of royal blood, the Meng family would definitely be finished. However, if she didn't take advantage of the situation, everyone in the Meng family would die. For the entire Meng family, she had to be a princess. Regarding this matter, Meng Shirin had a discussion with Master Meng. Yin, from now on, you are eldest Princess Yunjin's daughter. Fortunately, the people who know about your origin are only my 2 trusted subordinates. Master Meng rejoiced in his heart. That year at the villa, he was actually seriously ill. One morning, the old servant beside him went out and found a baby girl at the door. This baby girl didn't cry or make a fuss. She was very obedient and he liked her very much. He couldn't bear to see this baby girl wandering in the wilderness. Thinking that he was seriously ill, he might as well do something good. Raising a baby girl wasn't a problem. To his surprise, ever since he raised this baby girl, his illness was getting better day by day. Master Meng was a person who believed in fate. He thought that this was a little lucky star bestowed to him by the heavens. From then on, he really raised Meng Shireen as his real daughter. He loved her more than his biological children. It was already 3 or 4 years later when he completely recovered from his illness. When Meng Shireen really appeared in the Meng family, she was only 3 or 4 years old, about the same age as when the real princess was lost. It was such a coincidence that Princess Yunjin's daughter went missing that year. In eldest Princess Yunjin's eyes, everything matched up. This was undoubtedly her daughter. Only then did Meng Shireen realize that she wasn't old Master Meng's real daughter. Meng Shireen, on the other hand, felt a lot more at ease. That year when her father was recuperating, she appeared in front of everyone. It was indeed the year when the real little princess was lost. Then, her father only needed to insist that he had picked her up outside. He didn't need to say anything else, and it wouldn't arouse any suspicion. Got it, father. The Meng family was saved, but Meng Shireen was not very happy. Now that she had a new identity, she could no longer be with the person she liked. Yin, it's been hard on you. If the truth is exposed, several generations of our Meng family will lose their lives. Meng Shireen felt bitter in her heart, but she shook her head. Father, don't worry. I will keep this secret. Perhaps this is fate. Oh right, Yin, how did you get that jade pendant? Meng Shireen's expression changed slightly. She didn't want to talk about Lu Yu, so she said, I accidentally picked her up. Vertex. Chapter 43-33. Then the heavens are blessing our Meng family. Old Master Meng felt that Meng Shireen was the Meng family's lucky star. Old Master Meng didn't doubt Meng Shireen's words. He gave her a few instructions before letting her go. Meng Shireen had already moved to Princess Yunjin's residence. Her identity was different, and she had more things to do every day. Princess Yunjin was grateful that the Meng family could raise her daughter so well. She even helped the Meng family to ask for an invitation. Now, the Meng family was an imperial merchant. The Meng family benefited from a disaster. They all felt that old Master Meng was right. Meng Shireen was a little lucky star. As long as their Meng family didn't make a mistake, they would be rich in the future. What a good life. She was originally a merchant's daughter, but she suddenly became a noble. Why didn't I have such a life? Don't even think about it. We don't even have a clean identity, and you still want to be noble. Keep dreaming. Sigh, not only can we not be noble, but even the business of Immortal Beauty Academy has fallen to Mother Lu. I don't know what's wrong with those customers. When they see Mother Lu, they can't take their eyes off her. They don't even look at me. Yeah, my old customers all ran to Mother Lu. They even said that they were satisfied with just one look at Mother Lu. I don't know what's wrong with them. The girls of Immortal Beauty Academy were discussing recent matters when they suddenly realized that there was a particularly calm person sitting beside them. They couldn't help but look over. Even our Miss Guo can't compare to Mother Lu. It's really strange. The people who come to look for Miss Guo are all listening to the zither and playing chess. Those who come to look for Mother Lu want to do that. Don't you think it's strange? I don't know if it's strange or not, but Mother Lu must have eaten some elixir. Her face is as beautiful as a young girl. How can those customers not be mesmerized? In my opinion, this Immortal Beauty Academy can hold on with Mother Lu alone. I'm really afraid that one day, Mother Lu will feel that we are useless and chase us out. We have been in Immortal Beauty Academy since we were 12 or 13 years old. Where can we find a place to stay outside? So what if they have accumulated money? These men liked young and beautiful women, and married women with clean backgrounds. With our status, our bodies would have been damaged long ago. At most, we can be a lowly concubine and have to be looked down upon everywhere. Just thinking about those days is hard. You said to find a good one. Who knows if this person is good today? Do you understand? We are in this place, do you still not understand? How many of the older sisters and younger sisters who had married into good families with huge sums of money had a good ending? Most of those men only coveted the sisters' looks and money. When the looks were gone and the money was spent, they would have a change of heart. I haven't heard of anyone who hasn't changed their mind. So, other than this brothel, where else can we go? Even if they had saved up money, they didn't dare to take it and leave. In the brothel, at least there would be protection. Tanguy studied the chess record and fell into deep thought as she listened to the girl's words. In a trance, she had another idea. Did all of you come here voluntarily? Tanguy rarely communicated with these girls. When she suddenly spoke, all the girls' eyes fell on her face. I didn't come here voluntarily, but my family was poor. In order to save money for my younger brother to marry a wife, my parents sold me here. The Peak. Chapter 43-34. I was about to starve to death that year. Mama Lu said that I could eat and drink to my heart's content if I followed her. At that time, I only wanted to live. I didn't think about the future. I was separated from my family. Later on, I was caught and sold here. I knew that once I entered this place, I couldn't get out. At first, I didn't want to, but after experiencing all kinds of hardships, I finally had no choice. Once you enter this place, you can't get out. Who would want to come to a place like this if they could be innocent? Although Mama Lu has taken away the souls of the guests during this period of time, to be honest, this is the most relaxing time I've had since I came to Immortal Beauty Academy. Miss Gua, I heard that you were caught by Mama Lu. A lady suddenly sat beside Tanguy. She looked older than her. She remembered the lady's name, Ying. Tanguy replied, I was indeed caught by Mama Lu. Not only that, she even took away my personal belongings. Mama Lu is such a person. It's only because she doesn't have time to care about us that she has time and dares to talk about this. Speaking of which, Miss Gua, you're quite lucky. If the guests are always fascinated by Mama Lu, it's a good thing for you, Lon Lon added. Red Bean nodded. Miss Gua, you have both talents and skills. The guests who come to look for you are all elegant. I'm really envious of you. Those elegant guests won't even look at people like us. Miss Gua, you know how to compose poems and play chess. Your writing must be beautiful. Lon Lan's eyes widened. I still don't know how to write my name. I wonder if Miss Gua, can teach me. Tanguy nodded. Of course. After a while, brush, ink, paper, and inkstone were brought over. Tanguy taught Lon Lon how to write her name. Some of the illiterate ladies wanted to write too. Tanguy taught them one by one. Although some of these ladies were illiterate, most of them were good at music. Playing the zither, playing the pipa, and singing were all basic skills. Miss Gua, your writing is really good. Ying looked at Tanguy's handwriting and couldn't help but praise her. She could be considered one of the most talented girls in Immortal Beauty Academy. They could tell at a glance whether Tanguy's handwriting was good or bad. It was not surprising that those elegant guests admired Tanguy very much. Just based on these few words, those scholars would probably feel ashamed of their inferiority. Miss Gua, your handwriting is so good, so you must have come from an extraordinary background. How did you end up like this? Have you ever thought about going home? Ying asked in pity. Tang Gua took a deep look at Ying and said, I fled to the capital. Her short sentence told everyone present that she couldn't go home. Something must have happened at home. So that's how it is. If nothing happened to Miss Gua's family, she must be a lady from a respectable family. Ying continued. Unknowingly, she had already sat down beside Tang Gua. Her face was full of pity, as if she felt sorry that such a person had fallen into prostitution. The unforeseen event came too quickly. No one could have predicted it. Perhaps this is fate. Ying also sighed. Yes, sometimes it's fate. Look at the little princess who returned to her family. Isn't this fate? Tang Gua noticed that when Ying said this, she was obviously paying attention to her expression. She guessed that Ying should be Lu Yu's confidant. Although Lu Yu was very busy, she was definitely concerned about her daughter's matters. Peak. Chapter 43-35. Lu Yu probably didn't expect that the jade pendant was a royal item, so she was probably worried right now. She had made quite a few friends now. Let alone Immortal Academy, she was considered a popular person in the capital. Every day, she earned a lot of money for Immortal Academy, so Lu Yu definitely couldn't treat her like before. Moreover, there were quite a few guests with high status, so Lu Yu didn't dare to do anything to her. Arranging for a spy to sound her out was the best way. Miss Gua did you learn these things when you were young? Ying continued to ask. She clearly wanted to know everything about Tang Gua's past. Tang Gua replied, I'm quite talented in this area. My parents taught me these things when I was young. My parents are very proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. When they have nothing to do, they like to teach me these things. Unfortunately, a mountain flood came in the middle of the night and took their lives. So it's like this. Ying felt that it was enough, so she didn't ask any more questions. The couple who adopted Tang Gua were indeed a pair of people who loved mountains and rivers. She wasn't wrong, they were proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. The original owner knew that she was picked up by her parents when she was young. However, her memories when she was 3 or 4 years old were blurry and she couldn't remember. However, her parents did mention that they had found her somewhere. After the couple lost their lives to the mountain torrent, she lived a vagrant life for several years. In the end, she came to the capital and was captured by Lu Yu. She ended up in this place. Because of the original owner's experience, she decided to temporarily learn these talents. When they investigated in the future, they would find some traces. Ying felt that she could report back. She said a few words to Tang Gua and said that she was sleepy and wanted to go back to her room to rest before leaving. Most of the remaining girls admired Tang Gua's talents, especially those who couldn't read. They were very sweet and called her sister because they wanted to learn how to write their own names. Tang Gua was happy to accept these students who liked to learn. She was very happy to teach them. What was the point of playing alone? It was more fun when everyone played together. She first taught the girls how to write their names, then she tried to trick them. She judged their attitudes towards Lu Yu and chose those who had a grudge against Lu Yu, preparing to carefully train them in the future. Meanwhile, Ying had already arrived at Lu Yu's room. She repeated what she had heard from Tang Gua. Well, I got it. You can leave now. Keep an eye on her. I'm afraid that she'll be restless and want to escape from the beautiful Immortal Academy. Of course, Lu Yu wouldn't take the initiative to say that she was investigating Tang Gua's background because of her daughter. She was also afraid. She thought that the jade pendant was an item from a rich family. She never thought that it was an item from the royal family. If her identity was exposed, her daughter would be finished. Fortunately, that girl didn't seem to know her identity. That way, her daughter could live her life peacefully. Ying didn't really understand this, so she obediently retreated. Lu Yuer's face turned red. It was all that girl's fault. She had both talents and skills, attracting a large group of refined guests, scholars, and even some nobles were willing to befriend her. Even if she wanted to kill her, she couldn't. Otherwise, she would go all out and kill this girl. Once and for all, no one would be able to threaten her daughter anymore. Recently, there are actually quite a few people who want to redeem that girl. That won't do. Lu Yuer clenched her teeth and pondered. After she leaves, who knows what kind of things will happen. If by some freak combination of factors, someone finds out the truth, then my Shireen will lose her life. You can't blame me. Since that's the case, you should stay in the beautiful Immortal Academy forever. Peak. Chapter 43-36. Tangua didn't know that Lu Yu had rejected many guests who wanted to help her redeem her freedom. Even if she knew, she wouldn't care too much. Ying maintained a neutral relationship with her. If Lu Yuer didn't give her any orders, she wouldn't ask too much. She was a very qualified spy. Recently, she got along well with the girls from Immortal Beauty Academy. She taught them how to read, play chess, and draw. These girls could tell that Tangua was teaching them sincerely. She called them Miss Gua Sister Gua and now, Sir. After interacting with Tangua, they realized that she knew everything. They felt that it was a pity. How did such a good person end up in such a place? Tangua drugged all the girls that Tangua was willing to nurture and were willing to learn seriously. It wasn't anything bad. It was just a drug that made men lose interest in them when they looked at them. It was easier to take advantage of this time. After all, most of the men who came to have fun had their eyes on Lu Yuer. There were still some who couldn't be bothered to learn these things. She couldn't be bothered to care about them. With Tangua's help, the girls that she had her eyes on had indeed changed in just a few months. They sang songs and songs composed by Tangua. They could also learn from others in chess. They could also compose some simple poems and do simple couplets. Unknowingly, they also attracted a group of more talented scholars. Host, isn't it a little bad for you to help them like this? The system couldn't stand it anymore. Sound attacks, hypnosis, were pills supposed to be used like this? I'm happy to. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Isn't it good to teach a few students? Until now, Tangua had been teaching these girls for a year. Because of her help, these girls simply learned quickly. In terms of chess skills alone, any one of them would be able to defeat a scholar. They even introduced to the guests that everything they learned was taught by Tangua. They were Tangua's students. Unknowingly, another type of scenery appeared in Immortal Beauty Academy. From time to time, a scholar could be seen walking out of a room with a face full of resentment. He would even turn around and shout, "I'm not convinced. I'll be back. Just you wait." How could they be blessed? These prostitutes had only used a year to surpass them. Wasn't this too much of a blow to their confidence? Everyone who came to challenge them looked down on the women of the brothel. When he lost later on, he was naturally a little angry out of humiliation, but he was also unwilling to give up. He continued to challenge Zhang Xian, lost, and challenged Zhang Xian once more. Hearing that the other party had only studied for a year, he felt like vomiting blood. Tangua felt that it was hard for prostitutes to find a good man in this world, so she might as well teach them some skills. In fact, her original intention was to expand her influence. When her students could trample all the scholars in the world on the ground, one could imagine what the outside world would think of her. It was also a good thing for the girls who were willing to throw off their former lives. In the ancient world, the existence of brothels was legal. There were even official brothels. However, forcing a good girl into prostitution was not acceptable. Lu Yu's life should be worth it. When the system heard Tang Guo's faint words, it felt scared. The famous life of a brothel in the capital will be gloriously beheaded. System, the host must be a pervert. Miss Guo, there's an important guest. The servant girl's voice brought Tang Guo back to her senses. She asked casually, listening to the zither, playing chess, or composing poems, paintings, and calligraphy. The important guest didn't say. This servant has already prepared everything for you. Important guest. Tang Guo was still calculating in her heart how important this important guest was. She didn't know if he was a member of the royal family. She felt that it was about time. She had to think of a way to expose her identity. Empress Dowager Qin had already secretly deployed her forces. It was time to close the net. Tang Guo arrived at Yunting Xian. This was a place specially used to receive important guests. It was in the middle of a man-made lake in the Immortal Academy. The scenery was very unique. It was also summer. The lake was filled with lotus leaves, and pink lotus flowers bloomed. It was very beautiful. When she walked into Yunting Xian, she saw a young man sitting by the stone table. This is eunuch Wei. Tang Guo couldn't help but glance at him. She then bowed and greeted, "Greetings, eunuch Wei." It was a eunuch. Ahahaha. She couldn't help but glance at the man's chin. Following his chin, she couldn't help but complain to the system, he's clearly a fake eunuch. He's still pretending to be one. It can't be, it can't be. Great host, it can't be what I think it is. The system was shocked, is it that guy? Heavens, it's too scary. Host, this guy can't pretend to be a eunuch in a brothel. He's dirty. The peak. Chapter 43-37. All of you can leave. The young man waved his hand. The people beside him didn't dare to disobey the order and quickly retreated. When only he and Tang Guo were left in Yunting Xian, Wei Sun's gaze fell on Tang Guo's face. You're the Guo that those scholars admire. Yes. Tang Guo maintained a faint smile on her face as she answered. Wei Sun looked at her again before saying, Did you come to Immortal Beauty Academy voluntarily? Tang Guo was a little surprised. She flipped through her memories. There was indeed a powerful eunuch in the palace with the surname Wei. However, they had only met a few times. The other party had always been doing well in the palace. It was said that he was very valued by the emperor. Even the empress had to give this eunuch Wei some face. This eunuch Wei wasn't someone who personally served the emperor. Instead, he was someone who was in charge of the East Faction Hall. What a coincidence, this person was also surnamed Wei. Tang Guo didn't understand why the other party suddenly came to her door. Perhaps it was because she had caused a big commotion that this eunuch Wei was interested in. No. Tang Guo decided to tell the truth and see what he wanted to do first. Wei Sun's eyes darkened. He played with the white jade in his hand and didn't speak for the time being. Tang Guo wasn't in a hurry and sat to the side to wait. After a long time, Wei Sun said, Do you want to leave here? Tang Guo finally understood that this eunuch Wei was scheming. He probably took a fancy to her ability and wanted to use it to exchange with her. If I can leave here, what does eunuch Wei want me to do? As soon as these words fell, Wei Sun's dark eyes fell on Tang Guo again. He stared at her for a long time, but she didn't show any fear. Instead, he laughed out loud. Good. Tangwa didn't understand this good word. This person's words were really not straightforward. You're very smart. Although sometimes being smart isn't a good thing, I need a smart person right now. Wei Sun saw that Tangwa was still listening very seriously and his voice suddenly became cold. I can help you get out of here. Mama Lu won't let me redeem myself. Thank you for your kindness, eunuch Wei. Tangwa pretended to be troubled. Moreover, this immortal academy and Lord Lu. She didn't finish her sentence, but Wei Sun should be able to understand. If it was an ordinary ransom, it would be impossible for her to get out of here. If that didn't achieve a good effect, what effect would it have? It was the result that made Lu Yu lose her head quickly and made all the scholars in the city angry. Wei Sun could tell that Tangwa didn't look like she was in a hurry to go out, but he could feel that she would go out sooner or later. But why wasn't she in a hurry to get out? At first, he really thought that it was Lu Yu and Lord Lu's obstruction that prevented those elegant guests from redeeming her freedom. Now, he didn't see it that way. The woman in front of him was very calm, as if everything was under her control. He was used to seeing all kinds of people, especially these women who had fallen into prostitution. Which one of them didn't show fear when they heard his name? She was the only one who didn't seem to treat him as anything. Her attitude towards him was similar to how she treated other refined guests. So, why is that? Is the bloodline really that important? This was her innate bearing. She was destined to be different from ordinary people. If this was the case, could his plan still be carried out? Wei Sun stroked the white jade handle and pondered. After a long time, he spoke again. I can take you out of here. The peak. Chapter 43-38. Eunuch Wei, are you referring to the so-called redemption? Wei Sun was clearly used to Tangwa's bluntness. He said, yes. What about after we leave? Tangwa asked. She was indeed curious about what Wei Sun wanted her to do, but the other party was not straightforward at all. He spoke half of it and hid half of it. It was similar to constipation. After you leave, you will have a different identity. Your status will be noble, and you will not have to worry about food and clothing. Wei Sun's words were much longer than before. Of course, even if you don't agree to my request, I still plan to take you out. You shouldn't stay in Immortal Academy. Eunuch Wei, are you trying to say that I can leave Immortal Academy without doing anything for you? Wei Sun nodded indifferently. He couldn't place his plans on a woman. Regarding this matter, he had also unintentionally learned about it. Since he knew, there was no reason to let someone with the royal bloodline wander outside. He couldn't force her to do anything. If he took her back, he could make those people cause a ruckus and cause some trouble. This was something he was willing to see. I won't hide it from you. Thinking of this, Wei Sun didn't want to keep her in suspense anymore. His intuition told him that there might be some surprises waiting for him if he took her back. Even if he wanted revenge, with her identity, he couldn't control her. It was easy for her to betray him. In a while, he would make a request. If she was willing to try, everyone would be happy. If she wasn't willing, he would take it as a good karma and leave a good impression. It might be useful in the future. Her existence would have a certain impact on that person. Then, she and he were destined to be on friendly terms. There would be many opportunities for cooperation in the future. The main thing was that Wei Sun felt that she wasn't stupid. He couldn't help but laugh. A woman who could make all the scholars in the city praise her, even if she was a prostitute, was not stupid. Just think about it, how many people would be able to keep those scholars in line? If someone were to say anything bad about her, saying that she was just a lowly prostitute, they would definitely be scolded back by these people. Not only would they scold her to her face, but they would also write poems and scold her. These scholars seemed to be possessed and had gone mad. They admired her, adored her, and felt ashamed to stand in front of her. They thought that they had studied for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but in the end, they couldn't even compare to a woman. This woman was proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. She could be said to be a master-level figure, but no one felt that they could catch up to her. What was even more frightening was that she had a group of students who were also prostitutes. They had only been learning these things for a short period of time, but they had already made many scholars feel ashamed of their inferiority. Have you seen this before? Wei Sun took out a jade pendant, which was exactly the same as the jade pendant that Lu Yu had snatched away from Tang Guo. Wei Sun saw that she was stunned and thought that he had found the right person. There would always be traces of something done. The appearance of this jade pendant is exactly the same as mine, but it's not mine. Tang Guo still spoke the truth. Wei Sun gave a rare smile and handed the jade pendant to her. Do you want to know where this jade pendant is now? Where is it? Tang Guo asked. Didn't Mama Lu take it away? Wei Sun looked straight into her eyes. Did she really not know that someone had already used the jade pendant to replace her identity? Wei Sun was also a little confused. Perhaps she didn't know. Anyone who knew that they were supposed to be a golden branch and jade leaf, but had been framed and reduced to a prostitute, could they still be so indifferent? But that wasn't necessarily the case. The woman in front of him was unusual. Peak. Chapter 43-39. Do you remember the incident a few years ago when the little princess of the royal family was recognized? Tang Guo said, Of course I remember. It was said that it was because of a jade pendant. Her voice stopped abruptly, as if she had realized why. Wei Sun smiled. Yes, it was this jade pendant. His eyes didn't move. He carefully observed Tang Guo's expression, but he couldn't see anything. It was really interesting. Perhaps this was the difference between a real princess and a fake princess. The real princess in front of him was more in line with his imagination. As for the fake princess, it was as if she didn't have a brain. Her eyes darted around as if she was afraid that others wouldn't know what she was thinking. What made him even more amused was that the fake princess was having an affair with the crown prince. How interesting. The fake princess seemed to know that she was a fake, but the crown prince didn't know about it. He was in pain every day because the person he liked had become his cousin. What was even more amazing was that the crown prince didn't care about the taboo and chose to secretly be with the fake princess. The fake princess didn't refuse at all. Seeing that this pair of infatuated people couldn't be together openly because of their identities, he decided to be kind and help them. Dear host, is there something wrong with this person? What is he thinking so happily? His eyes are full of treachery. The system couldn't help but complain. It had been observing for a long time and now it could guess that Wei Sun didn't come to the brothel to look at girls, but directly for its dear host. However, with that treacherous look, it didn't think it was a good thing. Host, this guy is not obedient. Although his looks are still very good, he's not likable. Don't want him. He's probably scheming something. Tang Guo pursed her lips and smiled. She wasn't in a hurry and waited for Wei Sun to finish his dream. After a while, Wei Sun coughed softly. He seemed to be thinking too far ahead and hadn't done the thing in front of him. You should understand now, right? Wei Sun asked. You're the real princess. The one who was recognized was a fake. I found out about this by accident. After investigating it, I came to find you. Didn't Mother Lu take this jade pendant away? Why did it appear in someone else's hands? Wei Sun couldn't tell whether she really didn't know or was pretending. He only knew that the relationship between him and her would never become hostile. Because the truth would allow them to have a common enemy, it would depend on whether she wanted to swallow her anger or take revenge. Princess, you might not know why you were captured and brought to Immortal Beauty Academy, right? Wei Sun took a sip of tea and began to tell Tang Guo about the things he had investigated. He didn't leave out a single thing, including the fact that Lu Yu, and Meng Shirin were mother and daughter. He also told her about how Meng Shirin knew that he was a fake and how she had an affair with the crown prince. Princess, you may still have doubts. How did the royal family recognize Meng Shirin so quickly without suspecting her identity? One person is very important. Tang Guo asked subconsciously, who? Of course she knew. She didn't expect that Eunuch Wei was not a simple person. He actually discovered these secrets. After the death of the original owner, something terrible must have happened in Beiguang country because of Wei Sun's existence. It was unknown if the male and female leads, Meng Shirin and Crown Prince Tang Wenpan had won, or if the scheming Eunuch Wei had won. Vertex. Chapter 43-40. The current Empress. Although Tang Guo already knew the answer, after hearing Wei Sun say it, she still asked why. Wei Sun smiled and said, I don't know for now. Eunuch Wei, are you sure that I'm the princess who was left outside? I'm sure. Princess, you've always been wearing this jade pendant. You didn't lose it before Lu Yu took it away, right? Of course not. My adoptive parents said that it was something I had when they found me. That's right. Princess, you're no doubt a real noble. You shouldn't be left here. Wei Sun realized that Tang Guo still didn't seem to want to go out. He understood that the princess was calmer than he thought. In fact, the other party had long known of his true identity. Lu Yu wanted to hide her identity, but she might have given it away. For her to hide in beautiful Immortal Academy like this, she most likely had her own plans. Eunuch Wei, how do you plan to take me out? Do you want to take me out secretly and solve this matter behind closed doors? Since Eunuch Wei said that Meng Shirin is favored by the Empress and the Crown Prince, they won't be willing to make a big deal out of it if I go out like this. They might even let it go without a conclusion. Meng Shirin probably doesn't know that Lu Yu is her biological mother. When the time comes, she won't know anything and her childhood memories are blurred. What can she do to her? Wei Sun understood that the princess was quite resentful. She didn't want to suffer and not let others know. Even if she didn't lose her virginity in Fairyland, this experience was dishonorable. If she was taken back secretly, even if the royal family recognized her, it couldn't be announced to the public. If Meng Shirin insisted that she didn't know the truth and thought that she was the princess, then he was innocent. The royal family might not admit it. Meng Shirin was a bit strange. None of the important figures in the royal family disliked her. Even a few princes and the sons of courtiers treated Meng Shirin strangely. She even suspected that Meng Shirin was using some kind of bewitching spell on these people. Of course, it was impossible. The Meng family's crisis was solved by pretending to be the princess. I don't know what you plan to do. I'll cooperate with you. Tang Guo was not in a hurry to express herself. Instead, she asked, then what is Eunuch Wei's purpose? Their eyes met, and then they slowly looked away. Wei Sun doesn't need the princess to do anything. The princess's idea is to blow this matter up and let those who deserve to be punished be punished. This is in line with Wei Sun's intentions. If Princess insists on Wei Sun giving a reason, then it should be because he has some grudges with the Empress. As long as Princess does not associate with the Empress, it will be the best outcome for Wei Sun. Tang Guo couldn't help but smile. This person really knew how to judge people. The Empress deliberately helped to conceal the truth. How could I be on the same side as her? This Empress was really not simple. She could meddle in anything. It seemed that Wei Sun had some deep enmity with the Empress. Wei Sun is relieved to hear Princess's words, Wei Sun said. Now, can Princess tell me your plan? It's as you think. I want to blow this matter up. Lu Yu, Meng Shirin, the Meng family, and the Empress. These insiders deliberately hid the truth. I don't want any of them to escape punishment. Tang Guo looked up. Eunuch Wei is very clear about the crime of mixing up the royal bloodline, right? Peek. Chapter 43-41. If that's the case, you'll have to face the criticism of the world after you take your revenge. You'll probably be alone for the rest of your life. No matter how noble her status was, the young masters of normal families would not be willing to marry a princess who had fallen into the dust of prostitution. They would only be ridiculed by others. Even if they were ordered to marry a princess, they would have to marry her. The princess might not have a good life. What's there to be afraid of? Those who want to say it can do it. I just want those who hurt me and took away my identity to be punished. I want the whole world to know the humiliation I've suffered. This was what the original owner of the body wanted. But what were the attitudes of those people at that time? Lu Yu said that she had no choice but to do so. She was only forced by Lord Lu to find a young lady. She did not expect that she would find her own daughter. She did all this because she did not want her daughter to fall into prostitution. If she knew that the person who replaced her was the princess, she wouldn't have dared to do it. These words were so disgusting. Didn't it mean that if it was a girl from an ordinary family, she should have suffered in her daughter's place? Meng Shirin said that she didn't know and really thought that she was the princess. She was glad that it was found out in time. Otherwise, the Meng family would not be able to redress the injustice. How could Meng Shirin not know? She knew it clearly. Because the original owner of the body had a bad attitude, everyone thought that she was a bad person. Meng Shirin, who had taken over her identity, didn't even apologize. She didn't know. What a joke. She knew very well that the jade pendant didn't belong to her. She knew very well whether she was the princess or not. She still wanted to escape the blame. She didn't want to be implicated with the Meng family, so she could only choose to continue lying. The crown prince, those princes, and the courtiers all said that Meng Shirin was innocent. She didn't know and couldn't be blamed. Many people said so. Everyone really thought that Meng Shirin was so innocent and innocent. She was the most wronged person in the world. They didn't think about who was the one who suffered. Originally, even if she hadn't been recognized as an ancestor, if it wasn't for Lu Yu's selfishness, the original owner would still be a pure and innocent person. She used to be an innocent, kind-hearted little girl who had fantasies about life. Who was it that made her so vicious and vicious? Who was the one who covered her with thorns and targeted Meng Shirin at every turn? Wasn't it only right for her to target Meng Shirin? She felt aggrieved, wronged, and indignant. Because none of the people who had harmed her had been punished. They had not even received the simplest punishment of flogging, so how could they lose their heads? Because those people were forced to do so. They were innocent and forced to do so. In just a few words, they had cleared themselves of all wrongdoings. She had suffered so much and finally found out the truth, but this was the result. Could she still be kind and beautiful? Since the princess has made up her mind, Wei Sun will naturally cooperate. The princess in front of him had a calm expression, but Wei Sun felt that he was in a terrifying vortex, surrounded by a very violent aura. That feeling was a little scary, but also a little fresh. Eunuch Wei, we can begin now. The first thing I want you to do is to announce the truth of this matter with reason and evidence. Furthermore, we have evidence that Lu Yu, the Meng clan, and Meng Shireen all know that Meng Shireen is a fake princess. Alright, Your Highness, you'll have to suffer here for a while. There's no hurry. I can afford to wait. 1 day, 100 days, it doesn't make much difference to me. Wei Sun couldn't help but look at Tang Guo again. If it were any other woman who said this, they might have a pained expression. However, she played it down so casually, as if she really didn't care about these few days. Wei Sun will take his leave. I'll visit the princess another day. Wei Sun walked away with somewhat relaxed steps. After taking 2 steps, he couldn't help but look back and find that Tang Guo was staring at the lotus flowers in the lake very seriously. Perhaps this was the power of the bloodline. The princess's return couldn't do anything to the empress, but it was definitely a life and death calamity for Meng Shireen. The crown prince was infatuated with Meng Shireen. The crown prince was the empress' only son, so it had a great impact on the empress. If the crown prince's image could be damaged because of this matter, it would be good. Thinking of this, Wei Sun's smile deepened. Peak. Chapter 43-42. In less than 3 days, Wei Sun came to see Tang Guo again. With his identity, of course, he was an honored guest of Immortal Academy. They still met at Yunting Xian. Both of them sat at the stone table. Wei Sun's people stood far away on the 2 paths leading to Yunting Xian. They were surrounded by lakes, so no one could come close and listen to them. Princess, I've found out something that might be beneficial to us. Tang Guo felt from the beginning that even if Wei Sun was capable, it was impossible to carry out the plan perfectly in 3 days. The evidence of those people mixing up the royal bloodline was definitely not something that could be prepared in a day or 2. Even if it was prepared, they had to find an opportunity to expose this matter. Tang Guo asked calmly, "What is it?" "This matter is about Empress Dowager Qin. Princess was very young when she was lost, so you may not remember this." Wei Sun continued to explain, "The relationship between Empress Dowager Qin and Empress Dowager Su is very good. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are life and death friends. And now Princess Yunjin and the Emperor are with Empress Dowager Su. Princess Yunjin is your biological mother." Wei Sun saw that Tang Guo's gaze finally fell on him and said, "Not long after Empress Dowager Su passed away, Empress Dowager Qin caught a strange illness and can only lie in bed now. The Empress and Empress Dowager Qin have some grudges, but she pretends to be very gentle and kind in front of the fake princess. She often asks the fake princess to visit Empress Dowager Qin. I suspect that the Empress has ulterior motives. She clearly doesn't like Empress Dowager Qin, so why does she ask the fake princess to visit Empress Dowager Qin?" Wei Sun asked. Tang Guo couldn't help but look at Wei Sun. This fake eunuch's water was quite deep. He could actually connect this matter. If she hadn't worked hard to manage her reputation, she wouldn't have been able to attract Wei Sun's attention. Naturally, he wouldn't have been able to find out this, right? "Princess, you may not know my doubts, so I will analyze them with you one by one." Wei Sun was very patient. In his opinion, this talented and intelligent princess was worth cooperating with. He would slowly analyze that there was an unresolvable hatred between the Empress and her. Then the princess would be on his side. "Okay, Eunuch Wei, please speak." Because Empress Dowager Qin and Empress Dowager Su are life and death friends and Empress Dowager Qin doesn't have any children under her name, she treats Empress Dowager Su's children as her own. Princess Yunjin was actually married far away. After her husband died, Empress Dowager Qin made the decision to let the emperor send a decree to bring Princess Yunjin back. It could be seen how much she cared for Empress Dowager Su's children because of her relationship with her. As for you, you were unfortunately lost when Princess Yunjin returned to the old capital. Tang Gui didn't know about this background. She didn't expect her to get lost like this. The princess went missing because Princess Yunjin encountered an assassin on her way back. In her panic, she instinctively hid the princess. When I went back to look for her, the princess had already disappeared. Assassin. Tang Gui grasped the key point. Who would kill a princess without any power? Her husband had already died, and she was only brought back because of Empress Dowager Chen's pity. Wei Sun saw that Tang Gui was lost in thought, and he laughed. I think the princess has some guesses in your heart. Princess Yunjin doesn't involve anyone's interests, nor does she participate in any forces. Who would arrange for someone to kill her? Eunuch Wei, who do you suspect? Tang Gui looked up at Wei Sun's eyes. Top point. Chapter 43-43. There is no evidence at the moment. Wei Sun doesn't dare to speak carelessly, Wei Sun replied. However, as long as someone did this, there will definitely be traces left behind. Sooner or later, the truth will be revealed. Then do you have anyone you suspect? I want to hear the truth. Tang Gui rolled her eyes in her heart. What kind of bad habit was he to speak in such a roundabout manner? Wei Sun felt that Tang Gui was unhappy and whispered, Empress. If you have any doubts next time, just say it directly. You don't have to hide anything in front of me. It's just a guess. I won't do anything without evidence. Wei Sun looked at Tang Gui's serious expression and suddenly felt a little better. Okay. Then tell me, why is Empress Dowager Chen's existence beneficial to us? When he heard Tang Gui say, us, Wei Sun thought that Tang Gui had already treated him as one of her own. This princess was really a wonderful person. Since she liked her straightforward personality, he would speak more directly in front of her in the future. According to my investigation, Empress Dowager Qin didn't pay much attention to this fake princess. I feel that Empress Dowager Qin is a little suspicious of the fake princess's identity. Do you mean that the fake princess's identity can be used as a breakthrough from Empress Dowager Chen's side, or let her know the truth first? Tang Gui didn't expect Wei Sun to observe so carefully. Empress Dowager Qin clearly didn't dislike Meng Shirin. She just acted a little cold, and he noticed it. As for the others, they probably didn't care about this. She guessed that Empress Dowager Qin was sick, so she was more cold, right? Fortunately, this Wei Sun wasn't one of the Empress's men. Otherwise, Empress Dowager Qin would have been killed long ago. That's right. Also, I found something else. Empress Dowager Chen's strange illness is probably not simple. Wei Sun was actually a little excited. The difficult thing now was that he couldn't find a solution to Empress Dowager Chen's strange illness. If he could find a solution, then Empress Dowager Qin could become the person who suppressed the Empress. The person who did this was most likely the Empress. What surprised him even more was that there were actually people of the Empress by Empress Dowager Chen's side. He could guarantee that the Empress must have done something to Empress Dowager Qin. The power that he controlled was the Emperor's sole authority. Therefore, he was not familiar with the harem. However, after so many years of concealment, he still buried some clues that he had not used before. Now that it suddenly came into play, he realized that the water in the harem was indeed very deep. Wei Sun analyzed Empress Dowager Chen's situation with Tang Gui. If what you said is true, then Empress Dowager Chen's situation is not very good. She can't even protect herself, so how can she help us? The reason why Empress Dowager Chen's situation is not good is because she is surrounded by the Empress's people. The Empress pretends to be gentle and kind in front of the Emperor, but on the surface, she is always considerate of Empress Dowager Chen. His Majesty is very busy every day. As long as there is no trouble in the harem, he won't care about the details. Even if the Emperor occasionally goes back to visit Empress Dowager Chen, he can't stay for too long. When he sees that she's fine and everything is fine, he leaves. Empress Dowager Chen is surrounded by the Empress's people. They have many ways to make Empress Dowager Chen unable to speak. Tang Guo felt that Wei Sun was indeed a character. He had even guessed this. The reason why the Empress was able to hide it from the Emperor each time was because the Emperor would call her before he went to see Empress Dowager Chen. Vertex. Chapter 43-44. The reason was that she had been too kind all these years. The Emperor felt that he had misunderstood the Empress the most and treated her better. Naturally, he trusted her more. However, he did not know that every time he visited Empress Dowager Chen, the Empress would ask someone to prepare in advance. Empress Dowager Chen could not speak and could only fall asleep. It gave people the feeling that Empress Dowager Chen's personality had become cold because of her illness. Eunuch Wei, have you found out what illness Empress Dowager Chen has? Wei Sun shook his head. I haven't found out what illness she has, but I don't think it's an illness. It might be poison. It's just that the symptoms are too strange. I've asked many skilled doctors these few days, but they have no clue. Tang Guo was right. If Empress Dowager Chen's illness did not improve, this benefit would not be much of a benefit to them. Eunuch Wei, can you tell me about Empress Dowager Chen's exact illness? At this moment, Tang Guo had a new idea. Let Wei Sun and Empress Dowager Chen work together. When the time came, she would inform Empress Dowager Chen and let her cooperate. System, host, don't you think this is called cheating? Wei Sun could not help but look at Tang Guo. He knew that this princess who had led a wandering life was talented. Could it be that she also knew medicine? My adoptive parents used to like to travel. When I was young, they often brought me to various places to live. They had a lot of knowledge and I also learned a little about various difficult diseases. Wei Sun understood very well when he heard that. He remembered that some time ago, when he heard those scholars talk about Miss Guo, from Immortal Beauty Academy, their expressions were very complicated. They asked Miss Guo, do you know how to play the zither? She said, I know a little. They asked Miss Guo, I heard that you write well. She said, I can barely read. They asked Miss Guo, do you know how to compose poems? She said, I know a little. In the end, she was proficient in everything and was a master. This made all the scholars in the capital no longer dare to use the word know a little to express their modesty. To them, knowing a little had become being proficient in modesty. They were not worthy of knowing a little. Wei Sun did not hide anything and told her about Empress Dowager Chen's situation. The Imperial Academy of Medicine was very clear about Empress Dowager Chen's illness. It was not difficult for him to know this. After hearing this, Tang Guo fell into deep thought. Wei Sun observed her for a while and didn't disturb her. Instead, he sipped the tea in his cup and enjoyed the beautiful scenery of the lake against the breeze. After a long time, Tang Guo said, You're saying that Empress Dowager Chen can't move her limbs and can't even feel them. Only her head is normal. According to the records of the Imperial Academy of Medicine, it's like this. I also asked the doctors I know who have good medical skills, but they couldn't guess what happened. It really doesn't seem like a strange disease. Tang Guo frowned and thought. Under Wei Sun's attention, she suddenly opened her eyes. I remember something. What is it? Wei Sun asked anxiously. Could it be that this princess, who had been stranded outside, could really find a way to cure Empress Dowager Qin? If that was the case, then they were simply at the right place at the right time. Just the fact that they could save the Empress Dowager would make her position special. System, kid, you're thinking too much. In Empress Dowager Chen's heart, the host has long been the most special. You're so special. I once followed my adoptive parents everywhere and heard of a strange worm called the zombie worm. This worm is produced in a cold place. The colder the place, the higher the survival rate. Peak. Chapter 43-45. The only place where there is warmth is inside the human body. Once there is a wound on the skin, the zombie worms will burrow into it and multiply in large numbers. People who are infected with the zombie worms will gradually lose their ability to move and feel nothing. Because of the uniqueness of the human brain and face, the zombie worms do not like to live in this place and will not stay here. Empress Dowager Chen's symptoms are very similar to being infected with this kind of worm. But no matter how cold my Baiguan country is, there is still summer. It does not have an environment for zombie worms to live in. How could Empress Dowager Qin be infected with the zombie worms? I don't think that makes sense. Tang Guo also raised her doubts at the end. She believed that Wei Sun would be able to find a reasonable reason. Zombie worms. Hearing that it was indeed the case, Wei Sun's mind was filled with the information he had learned, hoping to connect some people with the existence of zombie worms. His mind was working very quickly. System, boy, you were also infected with this kind of worm before. Damn, a silly boy with no memory. I got it. Wei Sun suddenly said, attracting Tang Guo's attention and also giving the system a shock. System, got it. He is a fake eunuch. How could he have it? Host, this is a monster. You can't have it. What did eunuch Wei think of? Tang Guo felt that her little Tongzi was about to explode from jealousy. She comforted him with her consciousness. Haven't you been playing with your system's little brothers recently? This is the ancient world. You can play more. When we reach the modern world, you will be busy again. System, sob sob sob. Host, you are the best. Then I will go play with my little brothers. They are complaining about the host who does not work hard every day. I will go and comfort them. Little Tongzi, who was cared for, decisively ran to the system's home to play. Since that boy was obedient, he did not care about this matter. Tang Guo felt that little Tongzi was probably showing off. The Empress's brother is the general stationed at the border. That place is cold all year round and there are several snow mountains around it. It should be a bitter cold place, right? Wei Sun was very happy when he heard this news. Now he only needed to leave here and immediately arrange for people to investigate. He would definitely find something. Sure enough, there would be traces left behind. Very likely. I will have to trouble eunuch Wei to investigate this matter. The conversation between the two came to an end. In the following days, Wei Sun was rather busy. Other than occasionally arranging for people to send some fresh toys to Tang Guo, he didn't come. He did this simply because he wanted to create the impression that this was someone he valued, so that no one would cause trouble for Tang Guo. Lu Yu was indeed very unhappy. Tang Guo was famous in the capital. Unlike her, who was famous in the capital, Tang Guo was famous for her talents and skills, which made countless scholars admire her. Even the emperor's trusted aide, eunuch Wei, was concerned about her. Lu Yu could only bite the bullet. She absolutely could not let Tang Guo be redeemed. As for Tang Guo, she had also told Empress Dowager Qin that Wei Sun was a trustworthy person. When the time came, she hoped that she could cooperate. Her friends in the group saw that she was taking this seriously and told Empress Dowager Qin that this guy might be the reincarnation of that person. Empress Dowager Qin instantly understood and said that she would cooperate. After staying in the group for a long time, she also knew that there was a person who would follow the school bell in every world. He was very well behaved and did not dare to make any mistakes, for fear that the school bell would not want him anymore. Empress Dowager Qin could not help but feel a little envious. Not many people could have such an eternal relationship, right? For women like them who were born to be selected, they could not even dream of such extravagant hopes. Top point. Chapter 43-46. School bell, let's leave this matter to Wei Sun. He probably has some grudges with the Empress. This person is quite smart. Give him some time, and the Empress won't end well. We just need to cooperate. Empress Dowager Qin, since the school bell has spoken, let's do it. The Empress had caused a lot of trouble over the years. It wasn't surprising that she had a few enemies. However, this person was good at disguising herself and was the Empress. Without evidence, they couldn't do anything to her. If Wei Sun could find evidence of these things, it would save her a lot of trouble. Margaret was right. It was really easy to follow the school bell. They didn't have to do anything. They just had to lie down and win. About a month later, Wei Sun found a way to contact Empress Dowager Qin. He didn't do anything. He just used drugs to control the maids that the Empress had arranged to watch Empress Dowager Qin. They would only listen to him. There were many strange drugs in this world, and Wei Sun had many of these terrifying things in his hands. Of course, the Emperor didn't know about these. As eunuch Wei, who was in charge of a special force, it was normal for him to have some special methods. It was even more normal for him to hide it from the Emperor. Not long after, Tang Guo learned that Wei Sun had ordered people to help Empress Dowager Qin solve the zombie bug problem. They only needed to arrange for people to ask the locals in the bitter cold to know how to solve the zombie bug. In fact, very few people in that place would be infected by zombie bugs. However, the method to solve the zombie bug wasn't lost. Empress Dowager Qin, if I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have soaked in chicken blood so quickly last time. Now I feel very fishy all over. School bell, Empress Dowager Qin has suffered. Empress Dowager Qin, why did you say that? I was just casually saying it. It's really hard to be the Empress Dowager. After soaking in chicken blood twice, she still can't go out for a walk. Margaret, be content. At least you'll be able to see the school bell soon. I don't know how long I'll be targeted by the god of creation. Jealousy from Margaret. Wei Sun's message to Tang Guo was to solve the real and fake princess first and deal with those who mixed up the royal bloodline. Then, he would use this matter to target the Empress and lure the snake out of its hole. How to lure the snake out of its hole? This was why Empress Dowager Qin couldn't go out for a walk for the time being and claimed that she had recovered. After court, the Emperor suddenly received news from his chief steward that Empress Dowager Qin wanted to see him. She also said that she wanted to see him alone. This was the first time in many years that Empress Dowager Qin took the initiative to see him, which made the Emperor happy. After all, Empress Dowager Qin was a very close person to him. She was a person who would always treat him well. He didn't have time to change his clothes and went to see Empress Dowager Qin directly. Empress Dowager Qin heard the news midway and it was too late to stop him. What should I do? What should I do? Could it be that there's still some power around her that I haven't taken precautions against? She hasn't been able to resist all these years. I thought I had already removed all the forces around her. Why would she suddenly? Nyang Nyang, don't panic. After moving to Axian country, you didn't do anything to her. She's a person who can't move. No matter what you say, you need evidence. Everyone knew that she didn't get along with the Empress, so it was very normal for her to speak ill of her. In everyone's opinion, if the Empress wanted to do anything to her, would she have ordered people to do their best to take care of her? At most, you won't be able to do anything to her in the future. It doesn't matter. She'll be like that for the rest of her life. She can only watch the Empress be the mother of the world and enjoy wealth and glory. The Empress calmed down. Yes, I've always been kind and gentle in front of people. Who will believe things without evidence? If Empress Dowager Chen talks nonsense, she's probably sick and crazy. However, I won't have a chance to beat her to vent my anger in the future. Nyang Nyang's position is stable now. For the sake of the long-term plan, it's better not to do things that will be used against you. She can't move. She's the one who suffers the most. Nyang Nyang only needs to greet her every day and put on an act. She'll be so angry that she'll smoke from her 7 orifices. She might even be angered to death. Mama is right. Dealing with her will dirty my hands and it'll be easy for others to find out. The Empress never thought that Empress Dowager Chen wanted to see the Emperor because of Meng Shireen. The Summit. Chapter 43-47. Empress Dowager, you're finally willing to see me. The Emperor looked at Empress Dowager Chen with excitement. His eyes were a bit red as he remembered the difficult days in the palace many years ago. If it wasn't for Empress Dowager Chen, he wouldn't have been able to be the Emperor so easily. No matter how excited the Emperor was, Empress Dowager Chen didn't have time to talk about the past. She got down to business. Emperor, there's something I'm very suspicious about. It's related to the mixing up of the royal bloodline. When the Emperor heard this, his face became ugly. Empress Dowager, what is it? Who was so bold to mix up the royal bloodline? It's that Shireen. She often comes here to greet me. Do you think I'm too cold to Shireen? The Emperor was too embarrassed to nod, but he still said, the Empress Dowager is sick and doesn't want to see other people. I can understand. It's my incompetence that I couldn't find a good doctor to cure the Empress Dowager's illness. Let's not talk about this for now. Although she's sick, Shireen doesn't look like my royal bloodline. Ever since she came back, I haven't been able to sleep well. Last night, I dreamed that big sister Sue was crying to me. She said I didn't care about anything and was useless. She said I wasted my years in the palace learning from her and that her own granddaughter was replaced and suffered outside. So she quickly called the Emperor. Did the Empress Dowager dream of Mother? The Emperor was even more excited. He had a regret in his heart. He finally had power, but the person who loved him the most had left this world. Empress Dowager Chen sighed. After so many years, this is the first time I dreamed of Big Sister Sue. Even when we were in the palace, I've never seen Big Sister Sue cry so sadly. I suspect that Big Sister Sue knows that someone has mixed up the royal bloodline in the underworld. She knows that the real princess is suffering outside, so she told me in my dreams. Emperor, do you think Big Sister Sue is someone who cries at will? The Emperor's face was a bit ugly as he shook his head. Naturally not. Then it's right. No matter if this dream is real or fake, we have to pay attention to this matter. Moreover, this is related to the royal bloodline. She is Big Sister Sue's granddaughter and your niece. We have to pay attention to this. The Emperor's expression was serious. He believed Empress Dowager Chen's words. It must be his mother who told him in his dreams. Could it be that Shireen was a fake and the real princess was suffering outside? Come to think of it, Shireen's return was indeed too smooth. Moreover, he had left this matter to the Empress. He was more at ease with the Empress handling things, so he did not ask too much. He had no idea what had gone wrong, but someone had managed to fool the Empress and confuse the royal bloodline. Empress Dowager Qin knew that the trust the Empress had built up over the years in front of the Emperor could not be broken in a short period of time. There was no evidence that the Empress had hurt her. Even if the Emperor respected the Empress, he would not punish the Empress just because of her words without any evidence. If she said something bad about the Empress, said that the Empress came over to humiliate her and hit her for no reason, the Empress would most likely turn the tables and say that she was sick and delirious. She would even say that she was crazy. She couldn't say that the Empress wasn't good from the start. She had to let the Emperor find out from other people's mouths, or he had to personally investigate this matter and then ask her. Only then could she tell him. Even though the Emperor was close and respectful to her, the Emperor's heart was like this. Especially the Emperor in front of him. What he couldn't stand the most was someone trying to sow discord in front of him. Perhaps it was because of his difficult experience in the palace. Vertex. Chapter 43-48. Empress Dowager, don't worry. I'll immediately arrange for someone to investigate this matter. The matter of confusing the royal bloodline must be taken seriously. Because this time it was Empress Dowager Qin who said that Empress Dowager Su came in a dream, the Emperor not only paid special attention to it, but also had a bad impression of Meng Shirin. Perhaps this was preconceived notions. He only knew that his mother, who should have been sleeping in the underworld, came in a dream, which meant that he was not qualified to be an emperor and had been fooled. As the emperor, what did he dislike the most? Of course, being fooled. Emperor, don't make a big fuss about this matter. It's easy to make people vigilant. When the evidence is erased, it will be difficult to investigate. It's best to arrange 2 confidants to secretly investigate. I know. Don't worry, Empress Dowager. The Emperor and Empress Dowager Qin chatted for a while and then left in a hurry. Not long after, he secretly summoned Wei Sun. Wei Sun was not surprised at all after receiving the order to investigate the real and fake Infanta. This was the result of his and Empress Dowager Qin's conspiracy. Don't make a big fuss about it, so as not to attract the attention of the other party. At present, he did not know whether the other party deliberately concealed it, had a purpose, or had other reasons. In short, they were all very hateful. When the truth came out, he would not let go of anyone involved. Although the Emperor doubted Meng Shirin's identity, when Meng Shirin entered the palace to see the Empress and met the Emperor's performance was not worse than before. It seemed that he still liked this niece very much. No one could see any other thoughts. The Empress found that the Emperor did not change much about her. She was relieved and then asked about Empress Dowager Qin. The Emperor wanted to tell the Empress about the real and fake Infanta, but he remembered that the Empress Dowager had told him that the fewer people knew about it, the better. Moreover, he felt that the Empress was being fooled. There might be someone around her who wanted to confuse the royal bloodline, so he dismissed the idea. He casually found an excuse. The Empress Dowager just wants to talk to me. She should have thought it through. His excuse could be considered to be true. Taking advantage of this time, he went to see the Empress Dowager every day and talked to her more. He had been struggling for a long time about Empress Dowager Qin's strange illness. He had searched for countless doctors, but there was still no result. The Empress hated it in her heart, but there was nothing she could do. Sure enough, the Empress Dowager did not say anything bad about her. From now on, she really couldn't do anything. However, she would have to visit the Empress Dowager every day. Thinking of Meng Shirin, the Empress was happy again. It was just that the Empress Dowager was a little cold to Meng Shirin, which she didn't like to see. Then I'll bring Shirin over every day to chat with the Empress Dowager. Perhaps she'll be happier. When the Empress mentioned Meng Shireen, she didn't notice that the Emperor's eyes darkened. All right, with the Empress accompanying the Empress Dowager to chat, Qin is relieved. Just like that, Empress Dowager Qin had to see the Emperor, the Empress, and Meng Shireen every day. Empress Dowager Qin saw the Empress kindly bring Meng Shireen to see her and knew what the other side was planning. Her attitude towards Meng Shireen was neither hot nor cold, and she had no intention of changing it. Why would she waste so much effort on an impostor? Recalling the things that the school bell had told her, she felt that Meng Shireen was simply a white lotus. Clearly, the one who had suffered was the real princess, but in the end, the fake princess had become the most innocent person. Vertex. Chapter 43-49. There was also the group of brats from the royal family, as well as the nobles, who were all obsessed with Meng Shireen. The Empress was unhappy to see that the Empress Dowager still had the same attitude towards Meng Shireen. However, she didn't dare to go too far. Now that the Emperor was paying attention to this side and had specially arranged for 2 people to serve the Empress Dowager, she couldn't do anything. Moreover, Wei Sun seemed to have secretly arranged for people to investigate all kinds of things, but in fact, he had already investigated everything, including some witnesses, who were already under his control. Host, that pervert in your family has fed bugs to others again. The system would occasionally observe what Wei Sun was doing. It happened to see him interrogating people in the prison cell. The other party didn't obey, but he didn't whip them or use torture that caused external injuries. Instead, he fed them all kinds of strange bugs. No one who fell into Wei Sun's hands wouldn't confess. Even if feeding bugs didn't confess, he still had other methods. Drugs could make this person suffer a fate worse than death. If the farmer uncle knew that there was an existence like Wei Sun, he would definitely welcome him to the geography to catch bugs. This guy was very perverted. Thinking about those who were interrogated, they were really pitiful. Isn't it just being fed some bugs? It's not like it's physical pain. It's already very merciful. System, listen, what are you saying? Isn't it just some bugs? But those bugs were really disgusting, okay? Especially when all kinds of bugs were mixed together, just one look was enough to make people vomit. Those who were slightly weaker in their hearts had already confessed before eating the bugs. Such a pervert, feeding people bugs every day, but the host didn't mind. That guy's luck was really good. About a month later, Wei Sun entered the palace to meet the emperor and reported everything he had found. I have already gone to the beautiful immortal courtyard to see the young princess. In addition, the culprit, Lu Yu, actually didn't allow the young princess to redeem herself. If not for the young princess's talent, Lu Yu, would have killed the young princess. The emperor was very angry, very angry. He was only suspicious, but now that all the evidence was in front of him, how could he not be angry? He was a dignified emperor, but he was actually fooled by a brothel madam. Old Master Meng knows the truth of this matter. Lu Yu, was the one who gave the jade pendant to the fake princess. She most likely knows that she isn't the princess, Wei Sun continued. Previously, when the Meng family was in trouble, the 2 of them wanted to use this opportunity to help the Meng family survive the crisis. In order to help the Meng family survive the crisis, you let my own niece suffer outside. These are all the little princess's poems and essays. I have read them and found them to be very talented. It is no wonder that the little princess is worshipped by the scholars in the capital. The emperor looked at the thick stack in front of him and hurriedly opened it. He only read the first page and was attracted by the talent in it. Regardless of whether it was the poems, essays, or the words written, they had all won his heart. If only my niece was a man. With such talent, he would definitely put her to good use. The little princess's bearing is not inferior to a man's. Wei Sun praised. The emperor rarely saw Wei Sun praise anyone. Every time he saw Wei Sun, he would think that someone had fed Wei Sun something unpleasant. Wei Sun had a sour face, as if everyone owed him something. He didn't expect that one day, he would be able to hear Wei Sun praise someone else. Vertex. Chapter 43-50. He used Wei Sun because this person didn't flatter. Wherever he pointed, the other party would hit. It was very useful. Some things that were inconvenient for him to do on the surface, Wei Sun could secretly help him deal with it. After the emperor finished reading Wei Sun's collection of Tang Guo's works, he felt very regretful. She was only a woman. From Wei Sun, he learned that his niece, who had been wandering outside and suffered hardships, made all the scholars in the capital feel ashamed of their inferiority. He felt more pity for her. This was the true bloodline of his royal family. How could that impostor compare to the real one? Wei Sun didn't intend to tell the truth about what the empress had done. The empress did it secretly and couldn't find enough evidence. If he said it, he might alert the enemy. It wasn't worth it. It was better to deal with those bold ones first and then talk about the empress's mistakes. There were many people waiting for the empress. This one didn't make a difference. Just the assassination of the Empress Dowager was enough to make her suffer. In addition, letting the young princess wander outside was something that even 10 empresses couldn't resist. Wei Sun, go and bring the young princess back. Go personally. Yes. Wei Sun didn't say that Tang Guo didn't want to be brought back like this. He had to make a trip first and then come back to express the young princess's attitude to the emperor. Obviously, the emperor still didn't want this matter to become a big deal. The young princess wandering outside was obviously a slap to the royal family's face. Wei Sun's trip was actually to go to Yunting Xian to have tea with Tang Guo and talk about the current situation. Then, he hurried into the palace to tell the emperor that Tang Guo didn't want to come back. She needed a clear justice to let the people who framed her get the punishment they deserved and make it public. Great host, Wei Sun is a scheming person. Be careful and don't fall into his trap. Tang Guo, don't worry, he will be obedient. System, forget it, I'll slip away. Why should a system like him worry? Go and see the system's underlings. When the emperor heard Tang Guo's thoughts, he sat on the dragon throne in silence. He didn't want to publicize this matter. First, he didn't want to shame the royal family. Second, he was naturally thinking about this niece. If she handled this matter in secret, her reputation would be preserved. The young princess said that she doesn't need any reputation, she just wants justice. Wei Sun saw that the emperor was looking at him and continued to talk about Tang Guo's intentions. In his heart, he also admired Tang Guo's way of thinking. Young imperial princess said that she did this not only to vent her anger, but also to change some things. What do you mean? The emperor's interest was piqued. Because of his preconceived notions, it was clear that he did not look down on Tang Guo for living in a brothel. The young princess said that if she wasn't the princess today, she might be in that place forever. If it were an ordinary woman who was abducted and forced into prostitution, who would avenge them? Wei Sun took out a handwritten letter. This is the little princess's experience as a courtesan in Immortal Beauty Academy. The emperor took the letter and flipped through it. After reading it, he was still a little shocked. He didn't expect that so many girls in the brothel had been abducted and forced into prostitution. Baiguang country didn't prohibit human trafficking. Slave trading was very normal, so those girls were sold into the brothel by their families and couldn't be controlled. To the emperor, this was a very small matter. But the matter of those deceiving and seducing girls really made the emperor angry. In fact, the emperor was putting himself in his shoes. If they could even abduct the princess of the royal family, what else would they not dare to do? The Peak. Chapter 43-51. Because of her own experience, the young princess wants to redress the grievances of those girls who were abducted and forced to stay in brothels. The emperor fell into deep thought. If he used this matter to make an example, it could have a deterrent effect. It could indeed prevent many good girls from being abducted. However, once he did this, it was equivalent to announcing that the imperial princess was a prostitute. Dealing with these two matters together would not have much impact on the imperial family. If he issued an imperial edict, he could change the living environment of countless good girls. This was a good thing for the country and the people. It would only gain a good reputation. No one would wonder why the imperial princess had fallen into prostitution. However, there was a drawback to doing this. That was, his niece might not be able to find a good family in the future. Even if he could choose a good husband for her, it was inevitable that that person would have uncomfortable thoughts in his heart. This was his biological niece. His mother had asked him to take care of her in his dreams. Young princess, do you know that once you do that, you will never be able to wash away your reputation? This subject has asked about this matter. The young princess said that she doesn't care. She even has another suggestion. The emperor was a little speechless. Can you finish your words in one go? If it was someone else, he would have already thrown that person out to be beaten. The young princess said that she would rather not marry for the rest of her life. She also wants to redress the grievances of all the women in the world. Even if she comes out of that place, if there are abducted good girls who are sold to brothels in the future, she will also take care of it. When Wei Sun said this, he also expressed his opinion. Actually, this may not be a bad thing for the young princess. It is not uncommon to abduct good girls into prostitution in our dynasty. If a woman from the imperial family stands out to set an example and uphold justice for them, this evil trend will definitely be suppressed. Not only that, but the people of the world will also see the wisdom of the emperor. Wei Sun, when did you learn to flatter? It seems that the young princess can not only convince scholars, but also you. Wei Sun admitted, Your Majesty is wise. The emperor was so angry that he laughed. His niece was quite capable. She could make Wei Sun, this stinky face, learn how to flatter. Tomorrow, I will go see her. The emperor was indeed shocked by the news that Wei Sun brought. He felt regret once again. Why wasn't his niece a man? If she were a man, she would definitely be able to help him do a lot of things. But now, he had other ideas. It was not impossible for him to agree to what she wanted, but he still needed to confirm. The next day, the emperor secretly left the palace and brought Wei Sun to see Tanguo. After seeing Tanguo, the emperor hurriedly left with Wei Sun. After returning to the palace, he wrote an imperial edict overnight. The next day, he announced all the evidence to the court. The courtiers looked at the bloody evidence in front of them and felt a chill in their hearts. The previous young princess was an impostor. The real young princess was actually a courtesan who was famous throughout the capital. Or was it the one who made all the scholars in the city admire and gnash their teeth in hatred? The person who planned this was actually the brothel keeper, and the brothel keeper was actually the fake birth mother of the princess. Moreover, that brothel keeper had an affair with Master Meng. Master Meng often bought her for a night with a lot of money. Master Meng knew that his daughter was impersonating the princess. The fake princess also knew that she was a fake, but for the sake of glory and wealth, she still took on the identity. In the end, the real princess became a prostitute. However, the person who started all of this was actually Lord Lu, who was an official in the same court as them. The courtiers all looked at Lord Lu. When Lord Lu saw everything in front of him, he felt dizzy and couldn't help but collapse to the ground. There were even water stains on the ground. He was so scared that he peed. "Your Majesty, please spare me. Your Majesty, please spare me." This official didn't know that it was the young princess. This official didn't do anything to the young princess. This official just felt that the young princess's chess skills were superb. Lord Lu reacted and hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed. He didn't even care that his head was broken. Now, he only wanted to save his life. No, it should be said that he wanted to save his Lu family. According to you, if that wasn't the young princess, you could do whatever you wanted. The emperor was so angry that he laughed. He thought that his decision was right, but his niece who had suffered so much had suffered. The peak. Chapter 43-52. No, I didn't mean that. Lord Lu quickly refuted, but he didn't know how to refute. If the girl in Fairyland wasn't a real princess, but an orphan, no one would care about what he did to her, let alone make a big deal out of it. He had done such things many times. As long as he felt that the girls in Fairyland weren't boring, he would send Lu Yu to find something new. He didn't know when he fell in love with Lu Yu He didn't even have the slightest interest in his own concubines. Lord Lu was drenched in cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't do anything to the princess. If he didn't fall in love with Lu Yu he would have died miserably. But in the current situation, it seemed that he couldn't escape his sin. Because of him, Lu Yu forced the princess into prostitution. Now, he should be thinking about how to save the Lu family, not his head. Seeing Lord Lu's head on the ground without saying a word, the emperor sneered and slammed his hand on the armrest of the dragon throne. The officials on the ground were so frightened that they knelt down. In fact, the officials didn't understand that this matter was related to the princess's reputation and the royal family's reputation. They thought that the emperor would deal with this matter secretly. Even if the news leaked, those who knew about it wouldn't dare to spread it. After all, it was a matter of losing their heads. Why did the emperor talk about this matter early in the morning when he went to court? It was obvious that he wanted to make a big deal out of it. Didn't the emperor care about the royal family's reputation? The emperor didn't talk nonsense with these people. He was very angry now. As an emperor, he certainly didn't want his country to have forced girls into prostitution. Besides, the fewer cases of selling children, the better he was as an emperor. Every family had food and money, so they didn't have to sell their children. Now, he couldn't deal with the cases of selling children, but he could deal with the cases of forcing girls into prostitution first. When the officials heard the emperor's imperial edicts, their scalps went numb. The first imperial edict was to investigate Lord Lu. It was obvious that the emperor wanted to investigate the Lu family thoroughly. Needless to say, the Lu family was finished. Lord Lu's buttocks were definitely not clean. Not to mention forcing a woman into prostitution, he had probably done a lot of other things that were taboo. The second imperial decree was to capture beautiful immortal courtyard's brothel keeper, Lu Yu and throw her into prison. The third imperial edict was to investigate the Meng family and imprison all of them. The fourth imperial edict was to take the princess back to the palace. As for giving Tanguy special rights, this matter had to be put off for another 2 days. He had to let the matter of the young commandery princess being wronged ferment first. Otherwise, once he brought her back, he would give her all kinds of compensation, which would not arouse the sympathy of the people over there. The emperor knew very well how to arouse the anger of those who liked his niece. Fortunately, his niece was an extraordinary woman. Otherwise, once this matter was out, not to mention redeeming his reputation, he would probably have to hide in the palace for the rest of his life and die in depression. Several imperial edicts were sent down in succession, causing the courtiers to be somewhat dumbfounded. The crown prince and the other emperors recovered from their shock and hurriedly stood up. "Imperial father, I think there's something fishy about this matter. It's better to investigate this matter clearly in case someone is playing tricks. Was Shireen really not his cousin? In fact, at the beginning of Baiguan country, cousins still intermarried." Vertex. Chapter 43-53. But later, after many cousins got married, the children they gave birth to were either idiots or had poor health and died young, or were deformed. At that time, the royal family thought it was a punishment from heaven. Later, after investigation, they found that all the people in Baiguan country had the same problem. The ancestor emperor understood the problem and set the law that cousins were not allowed to marry each other. At that time, some people did it secretly and gave birth to all kinds of deformed children. The ancestor emperor felt that it was necessary to take drastic measures, so he set another law that cousins who married each other would be sentenced to death. After catching a few examples and beheading them, the people of Baiguan country were finally unwilling to do it. They didn't care if the children were deformed, but they were more worried about their heads. Crown Prince Tang Wenpan was in a dilemma. Meng Shireen was not his cousin and they were not related by blood, so there was nothing to stop them from being together. As a crown prince, it was absolutely impossible for him to be with his cousin on the surface. He couldn't even get past his father. In addition, it would affect his position as the crown prince. But if Meng Shireen was not the young princess, she would have to bear the crime of impersonating the princess. This was not a small crime and she would definitely be beheaded. Tang Wenpan wanted to be with Meng Shireen, but he couldn't watch her behead. The only thing he could do now was to doubt the truth of this matter. Even if Meng Shireen had replaced the young princess, he must find a way to let everyone know that Meng Shireen was innocent and didn't know anything. Didn't his father like Shireen very much before? In this case, as long as Shireen didn't take the initiative to replace the princess, she could save her life. Tang Wenpan and the other princes winked at each other. These people understood and quickly stood out to persuade the emperor. As for the crown prince, the princes treated Meng Shireen differently. The emperor even knew from Wei Sun that the crown prince and Meng Shireen were secretly together. The Empress Dowager said that Meng Shireen was a little strange. He really felt that this woman was very strange. Why did everyone like Meng Shireen? How could a mere merchant's daughter make his sons fall in love with her? How could she make those nobles fall in love with her? It was incredible. Investigate, he must find out. Tang Wenpan felt the emperor's cold gaze, but he still forced himself to speak. He believed that there was a misunderstanding and hoped that the emperor could give Meng Shireen justice. The emperor was so angry that he wanted to laugh. "Crown Prince, you want me to give justice to Meng Shireen, then who can give justice to your cousin? She was originally a noble lady, but she was framed and reduced to a prostitute. The person who replaced her enjoyed everything she had." In the end, when the matter was exposed, there were still people who protected the person who replaced her. "Crown Prince, I don't understand you anymore. And the few of you, this emperor is very surprised. You're actually here worrying about an impostor, and not concerned about how much suffering your own cousin has suffered outside." The emperor was disappointed in his heart. Were his sons possessed, or was Meng Shireen's methods too good? Regardless of whether Meng Shireen was evil or not, based on the fact that she could disturb the hearts of so many princes, this person could not be allowed to live. Tang Wenpan and the other princes were frightened by the emperor's gaze. The emperor's question made them unable to answer. They could only lower their heads and not say another word. Court is dismissed. Vertex. Chapter 43-54. The emperor didn't give them a chance and immediately dismissed the court. The person who went to pick up Tang Guo was still Wei Sun. In the emperor's opinion, the only person who could be used as he pleased was Wei Sun. He wasn't like those cowering ministers in the court who weighed the benefits in their hearts and made him annoyed. Wei Sun brought people to pick up Tang Guo from Immortal Beauty Academy. After Tang Guo was picked up, the people in the capital started to discuss. Miss Guo from Immortal Beauty Academy was picked up by eunuch Wei. Do you know what's going on? I also heard that Lu Yu from Immortal Beauty Academy was also captured by the soldiers and handcuffed. Ah. What's going on? Soon, news from Immortal Beauty Academy spread. It said that Miss Guo was the real noble and was the daughter of Princess Yunjin. As for the previous one, she seemed to be an imposter. When this news came out, the entire city was in an uproar. Then Lu Yu snatched Miss Guo's royal token and gave it to her own daughter, Meng Shireen. That was why Meng Shireen replaced the princess's identity. What? Meng Shireen was Lu Yu's woman. Not long after, the news that the Meng family was all imprisoned spread. Now, wasn't it even more confirmed that Meng Shireen was an imposter? After the scholars in the city knew about this, they quickly rushed to Immortal Beauty Academy. It could be seen that everyone's face was filled with resentment. So Miss Guo is a noble herself. Now I understand. It's not wrong to lose. This is a real noble. If it was a girl from an ordinary family, how could she withstand such destruction? Lu Yu is really despicable. Don't forget, there's still that imposter. These scholars all came to find Tang Guo and the other students to ask about this matter. At this moment, Lon Lon, who had been taken care of by Tang Guo, said, I once heard that Miss Guo said that her personal item was snatched away by Mother Lu. It must be that jade pendant that can prove her identity. This Lu Yu is really shameless. That Meng Shireen, who wants to be a phoenix, is also shameless. I can't believe I've encountered something so absurd. If it weren't for the Emperor's discerning eyes, Miss Guo would probably still be suffering outside. No, it should be Princess Guo. If Lu Yu hadn't set her up, she wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Such a talented woman has a stain that can't be washed away in vain. No matter what, Princess Guo is the person I admire the most. Her talent is unmatched in this world. Lu Yu and the impostor must be severely punished. Yes, he must be severely punished. The next day, the emperor did not expect that he would receive tens of thousands of books written for him by all the scholars in the city. They even put their bloody fingerprints on them. He sighed again in his heart. Why was his niece a girl? Look, even the most difficult scholar to deal with had been subdued by her. He looked at these with a gratified expression. Even if his niece's reputation could not be salvaged, as long as these scholars protected her, there was no need to worry about anyone daring to do anything to her. If nothing unexpected happened, the truth of this matter would spread throughout the city in a few days. There would also be countless scholars writing about Lu Yu, Meng Shireen, and Meng Shireen's crimes. Their 18 generations of ancestors would all be cursed to the point of sitting up. The Apex. Chapter 43-55. At this time, Meng Shireen was in a prison cell. She had never thought that this matter would suddenly be exposed. Even more so, she had never thought that the talented and famous Miss Guo was the real princess. She didn't want to think about why the other party would pretend to be a princess in Immortal Beauty Academy and confuse the royal bloodline. This was something that could cost her her life. The person she hated now was Lu Yu. If the other party didn't give her the jade pendant, this wouldn't have happened. Tang Wenpan came to see Meng Shireen and comforted her. "Shireen, don't worry. I will think of a way to help you. I won't watch you die." "Shireen, do you know about this?" Tang Wenpan asked. If she didn't know, this matter would be much easier to handle. But if she knew, she could only grit her teeth and say that she didn't know. Meng Shireen subconsciously shook her head. "I don't know. I don't know anything. I really thought that I was the real princess. At first, I was very happy that I could find my family. I didn't expect, she definitely wouldn't say that Lu Yu, gave her the jade pendant. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to keep her head." Tang Wenpan breathed a sigh of relief. "Since you don't know, then you are innocent. Shireen, don't worry. We will think of a way to save you." "Wenpan, can I really get out of here?" Meng Shireen was terrified. "I really didn't mean to pretend to be a princess. If someone didn't recognize the jade pendant, how could I be a princess?" I know. Tang Wenpan comforted. "I will think of a way. When the time comes and we interrogate you, just tell the truth. Father is not someone who can't distinguish right from wrong. Father still liked you before, but now he is too angry. It's all Lu Yu's fault and Lord Lu's fault. They are the main culprits that caused my cousin to fall into prostitution. None of this has anything to do with you." Tang Wenpan decided to discuss this matter with the Empress. Mother was very good to Shireen. She definitely wouldn't watch Shireen suffer. Unexpectedly, the Empress had a bitter look on her face. Her Imperial Mother is also powerless in this matter. This concerns the confusion of the royal bloodline. Imperial Mother's persuasion will only make Imperial Father angry. He will think that Imperial Mother, the mother of the country, is irresponsible. Not only do you have to consider the royal family, but you also have to help an impostor. What do you want your mother to do? Mother, Shireen is innocent. She doesn't know anything. I can't watch her die. No matter what, I have to save Shireen." The Empress looked at Tang Wenpan's infatuated face and was somewhat displeased with Meng Shireen. She was just going with the flow because she wanted to use Meng Shireen to anger Empress Dowager Qin. Now that Meng Shireen's identity was exposed, it was useless. She didn't expect that little bitch to be so capable. Her son was bewitched by her. It would be better if she had her head chopped off as soon as possible. However, she couldn't be estranged from her son. She had to put on an act, then Imperial Mother will go and try. Whether it works or not, we can only leave it to fate. "Thank you, Mother." The Empress found the Emperor, but before she could speak, the Emperor spoke first. "Are you also here to plead for Meng Shireen? I'm very confused. None of you care about your own family. Why are you all trying to absolve an outsider?" Putting aside whether or not Meng Shireen was aware of this, she had already taken over the identity of the real princess and was enjoying a luxurious life. In the end, when the matter was exposed, why didn't anyone feel sorry for my poor niece? Your Majesty misunderstood. I'm not pleading for Meng Shireen. I just want to ask Your Majesty, the little princess has suffered so much outside. How can you compensate her? This child is really pitiful. The Apex. Chapter 43-56. The Empress's words attracted the Emperor's attention. Seeing her sincere face, he felt much better. He took the Empress's hand. "Only you can see it so clearly. You are worthy of being the mother of a country. Your Majesty, Pan-er is young and ignorant. He just lost his head for a moment. I will persuade him. Don't be angry with him. He is not young and ignorant, nor is he lost his head for a moment. He is blind. Thinking of Tang Wen-pan and his other sons, the emperor was angry. If Pan-er makes a mistake, you can punish him. Only then will he know his mistake. I agree. The emperor felt much better. You should talk to him later so that he won't cause trouble for me. This matter has been investigated clearly. Meng Shirin is not wronged. She and Meng Qing have long known that she is not the real princess. She just wants to use this identity to help the Meng family through the crisis. The empress's heart turned cold. So the emperor has been investigating this matter for a long time. He should have asked Wei Sun to investigate it. Otherwise, she would have received some news. It seems that the emperor's heart is really unpredictable. She has worked hard for many years, but she still can't get the emperor's complete trust. In this case, she can't get involved in this matter. It's related to the royal bloodline. Now that the little princess is not an ordinary woman, she can't get involved. She can only be on good terms with her. As for Meng Shirin, the emperor can do whatever he wants to do. It's best to kill her early to avoid trouble. Your Majesty, I don't know how to compensate the little princess. You should say something, so that I can arrange it. The emperor shook his head. I already have an arrangement for this. You don't need to worry about it. I'm afraid that the crown prince will come to disturb you recently. When the empress thought of Tang Wenpan's performance, she hated Meng Shirin very much. She was also curious about how the emperor will compensate the little princess. She said, the little princess is a good child. Unfortunately, she fell into the dust of prostitution. In the future, it will be difficult to choose a husband. What should we do? The empress will know in a few days. I just want to say that Guo is not an ordinary woman. Choose a husband. If he were to pick and choose, those clans would still turn their backs on him. Since Guo has great ambition in her heart, and it is a good thing for the country and the people, he might as well push her and let her stand in a different position. With the support of those scholars, her life is not bad. After seeing Tang Guo, the emperor was not worried that she would be unhappy because she could not find a good husband. With her talent, he would only think that all the men in the world were unworthy of her. Whether it was getting married or finding a husband, it was a grievance to her. In just 3 days, the news that the young commandery princess had been framed by a traitor and had lost her status as a noble lady had spread far and wide. The emperor saw that things were almost done. If he still did not react, those scholars would probably write articles and poems to vaguely scold him as a fatuous ruler. A few days later, the emperor issued a decree to confer the title of Princess Tang Guo as Princess of Mount Jing. She was granted a fief and a princess mansion. She was also allowed to marry freely. In addition, he made public the handwritten letter written by Tang Guo. In it, the princess of Mount Jing lamented that the world was not suitable for women. Every day, there were women like her who were forced into prostitution. After Princess Jing Shan knew her identity, she was not complacent. Instead, she considered more such things in the world. Therefore, she asked to use her power to rehabilitate all the women who were forced into prostitution. She hoped that the women who had the same experience as her could get rid of the prostitutes. She also hoped that those women from good families would never encounter such a thing again. Of course, the emperor agreed. When this imperial decree came out, it caused a discussion in the city. Tang Guo was taken to the imperial palace at the beginning and had not yet seen her biological mother, Princess Yunjin. Although she did not see her mother, she heard from the system that Princess Yunjin was worried about the impostor. She wanted to plead with the emperor, but she did not dare. The Crown Prince and those princes should know that they were currently meeting with Princess Yunjin to discuss this matter. They seem to have forgotten her, their biological daughter. The summit. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.